I don't know. It's like spazzing. I'm trying to change it up.
Wonderful,
just kind of look
delightful.
Like I'm spasming. Like I look like John Hurt in Alien.
I remembered to have my sound turn on this week.
Yep.
I am John Hurt now. Oh, not again. Oh, wait, that's
No,
false.
I am John Hurt. I am John Hurt.
I am John Hurticus.
So, Voidwalkers, I'm John Hurt.
And I'm Ripley's Believe It or Not.
I'm the adorable orange cat Jones.
And we are
the Confabulators.
The Confabulators.
I just said that went off the rails real fast.
I was waiting for it.
I know.
I was waiting for it.
I know, and I was looking here and not there, so I wasn't looking at you to like do the visual cue.
We had two of us, I felt like, in that one. Two of us.
I was in a different zone completely.
Mm.
We're never going to get it, is my prediction. Just when we're about to get it, we are going to still screw it up because we will be like, oh my gosh, we got it, and then we'll freak out and not get it.
I believe in us.
You guys are going to say the Confabulators, and I'm going to say the Confabulation Station. Why did I do Jerry Lewis
like
there?
Too much Jerry. Look, Jerry Lewis is his own kind of sci-fi. He is his own genre.
With the bebobs, then the zip zaps, and the flavin'.
Exactly.
We are insane, and I'm actually Liz.
And I'm me.
So, yep, I'm Dave.
Just in case anybody's here who is going, the fuck are they giving in the introduction?
This is a fun
John
episode
Hurt
to start as your
passed
first
away,
one.
and he was British.
Wait, what?
Who's this guy?
Oh, okay. I was thinking a moment. I was like, wait.
Oh,
is Dave
okay.
imitating somebody or what?
Oh, God, I thought Dave was just discovering John Hurt was British.
I had a moment too. I honestly had a moment too. And then I was like, is Dave being serious or is he imitating somebody out there who's horribly confused?
The second one. The second one.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, what hilarity. I love you all too.
What are we talking about today? What are we doing here?
Well, we are back.
And I think as you would say, something you I think brought to our brainstorm, Dave, the 80s and 90s of science fiction is brought to you by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I mean, look, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it now. Arnold Schwarzenegger is my all-time favorite actor, and in my opinion, probably one of the best comedic geniuses of that era.
Honestly, watching again, the guy is very good and so underrated by so many people. Honestly, rewatching some of his things, it's like, man, dude, you were good. You were good. Reminds me, I still need to see, was it True Lies? I think.
Which is
I need to rewatch that.
Look, that's one of his best movies.
Do you guys want to know my
That was like the one you made me watch first. You were like, we are watching this, and I am so glad I did.
Do you want to know my embarrassing True Lies story?
Yes.
So I still have yet to see the movie, but growing up, I'd see the commercials on it all the time as a kid. Because, they were just plastered everywhere on network television, even on, like, Fox Kids in the 90s.
Yeah.
And for years, I thought it was a new Rambo film. And there was a specific reason why. Because I did not understand the sarcasm in Jamie Lee Curtis's voice in the commercials when she yelled, "I didn't know my husband was Rambo."
Oh, no.
So I thought she was being literal because, and somehow, 1990s me, I forget what year it came out, so I'm leaning towards it being like elementary school still and not the start of middle school yet. So I'm just literally thinking that this is a Rambo movie, and that even in continuity, Rambo is now infamous for all of the action stream got up to... I'm like, wow, I didn't realize they were making a Rambo movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay.
Oh my gosh. No, we got Predator instead.
Which, hey, great movie.
We got the most iconic the hand me. Dave, do you remember when I first watched Predator? I think it was in one of the other groups we're in, and I was posting because you were like so excited that I was finally watching it, and I had that moment where I came in, I was like, I didn't know the two hands grasping each other that people use in memes all the time of like the black hand and the white hand grasping each other was straight out of Predator, and I was
Arnie and Carl.
like.
Carl.
I know, and I had no idea until I watched Predator, and I was just like, I did not know this.
Yeah. Carl Weathers, Arnie, coming together.
Peace, man. Rest in peace, Carl.
And then later he finds out that, Carl Weathers' character has been playing him because, he's CIA, and that's what the CIA do.
That was just an iconic duo to have them on screen together.
Yeah. It was really good. They really played that up.
It sucks so bad that we lost Carl Weathers, last year before that?
About 2 years ago.
This is like a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, I think a year after he did, it was like within the year after season 3 of Mandalorian, which was the last season he appeared in. I was going to say it was within the year after.
Yeah. But man, that guy knew what was up.
He's an icon.
So good. Yeah, I actually, one of my Funko Pops, which obviously I don't have in the back, but I actually have in the living room. One of them is him as Apollo Creed from Rocky that I have. I got that one, and I got Stallone, obviously, as Rocky. So I had the two of them together.
Take that steak bone home, put it in a pot, you can get a stew going.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you make broths.
My understanding is he improv that whole bit in Arrested Development.
That's awesome.
Like he's basically playing a really cheap version of himself.
I want to say one more thing about that moment with Carl Weathers and Arnie at the beginning of Predator, which is when their hands come together. That clap is just, it hits and you just remember it, I mean, I don't know if that was post-production sound effects though, or if it was just, they got that and they kept it.
I mean, if you nail it, you nail it. I mean, we've all been there where we've given somebody a high five and you've managed to hit their hand, you managed to hit hands in just the right, amount of resonance, and it's just bam, and it also usually I feel like I could see that as being in the moment thing.
And then I love the follow-up that makes it very funny, where they're doing the whole thing of being macho, right? And trying to see who can outgrip the other, kind of like a what is it called, arm wrestling contest.
Yep.
And then Arnie goes, "What's the matter? CIA got you pushing too many pencils?" Huh?
I'm watching these two just burly guys just being like, "Rrr."
And then Carl Weathers taps out. He's like, "All right, okay." Which is perfect. It's a great setup for the dynamic between those two for the rest of the film.
Does it count as foreshadowing, considering he taps out in the film too?
Yeah.
He does. Honestly, the two of them was great chemistry on screen. We should have gotten more collaborations with the two of them partnering up, because they were a fantastic team up. They had wonderful chemistry.
That'd have been great.
It's not sci-fi, but I need to get around to watching it, especially after listening some months back to the Nextlander Watchcast cover it. Action Jackson. I've heard good things about that, and it's kind of a shame that it did not take off as its own franchise, because Carl Weathers really deserved a franchise of his own.
He did. He's just that good. Instead of Arnie and Carl, though, we got Arnie and Danny DeVito. They were in multiple things together.
They were.
Wait,
Twins,
what
Junior?
else? Junior as well?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, weren't they both? Weren't Penguin and Mr. Freeze also the same Batman movie?
No, different movies, but same universe.
Second and fourth.
Same universe.
Second and fourth.
Yeah, because one was in the one that everybody hated and was what's his face? Yes.
George
nipples
Clooney.
Nipples on breastplates.
Bat credit card.
I say those movies work as long as you go into them not expecting like even the Burton Batman. What you need to go in expectations wise is this is 90s ass Adam West Batman.
Yeah, it's closer to Adam West in tone, I would say. I've not seen him, but I've seen enough about them to say that it was definitely much more Adam West, because there was always to the Batmobile, to the Bat thing, the Bat this, the Bat this, the Bat scythe. It was everything but Bat.
And when you work from that, it's like they make so much more sense as that, like that kind of campy, fun, like they're not self-serious. And I don't think I think there's it's the gap between the audience expectation and what the actual intent of the thing is. And when you're dealing with something like Batman, especially coming off Burton's Batman, being so fresh in the psyche of the American audience back then, going back to Adam West style campiness is just going to be a hard swerve for everyone.
They would have needed to promote it better. I think they would have needed to promote it in a way to really play up that this is not your Tim Burton Batman, which I'm sure they probably were caught between the risk of, are we going to lose audiences, but are we going to not get audiences in theater because we're pushing that this is campy, or are we going to lose audiences? I tend to fall on the, you kill a film if you promote it wrong, and if you promote it, it's just something different than what the audience expects. And I mean, you know, we've discussed it before. Event Horizon, also 90s, suffered that. Crimson Peak suffered that. Is it Crimson Peak, Dave?
Yes, Crimson Peak.
Yes, yeah, that suffered it. I mean, what was it? So many films have suffered the, oops, we want to promote this way because we think the audiences will come more to this film, and it's like, yeah, but that's not the movie you made.
Yeah.
So instead they're going to come and be like, the fuck is this bait and switch you just pulled?
It's also one of those things where it's like marketing it right is the one thing, but you're also going to be dealing with the cultural cachet. And I do kind of wonder if it's one of those things where, like, not only would you have had to market it right, would you have had to have given it actually more time? Like, wait until you've had a couple of years of no Batman films to get an audience that would be readily receptive to campy, goofy Batman again. Because, like, imagine if, like, so, like, Adam West Batman is 66. Like, let's just say 74 even. Actually, by 74, maybe they would have been adjusted for Burton Batman. But, like, even then, like, it feels a little like, you know.
So, kind of to try to steer us back on topic here.
Yeah.
Focus. I'll say two more quick things about Arnie, because I think we could make an episode about Arnie by himself. And
he's going to get a large portion of this just by consequence of presence.
One, I'm such a big Arnie head that I saw Hercules in New York. I don't recommend watching it, but I had to know.
Well, I take that as a dare now.
Yeah. And two, I'm looking forward to King Conan, which is the third Conan movie that apparently it's in pre-production.
I did not know that.
I'm looking forward to it.
I just tried to search
even though it might be an absolute disaster.
I mean, but is it going to be more of a disaster? And I barely remember it. I just know I've seen it. The Jason Momoa Conan.
I think it'll be better. I think because of the
anything will be better.
I think because of the zeitgeist, people remember Conan and they think Arnie because of Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, and even though it's not Conan, he was still basically Conan in the movie Red Sonja with Brigitte Nielsen, which that movie actually was the movie that got me into Red Sonja a little bit. This is diverging into fantasy. This is later. This is a later discussion. We'll get back to Red Sonja.
Next year.
my comic book and novel queen. We'll get back to her and Gail Simone. We'll talk about them later. But
no
now
audience, that means you're going to get even more Arnie next year.
Yes. So let's swing back to sci-fi, and we're looking at the 80s and 90s.
Yes, the iconic. I have to also have a laugh too, Dave, when I thought about this, of how hilarious full circle we sort of are, because was it your first horror movie was RoboCop?
Yes.
And that's also straight out of this same era.
Yeah, it was 80s. My parents brought me to see RoboCop in theaters.
How old were you?
And I was, when did RoboCop come out? Remind me.
I want to think 85, RoboCop release date. 87, July 17th, 1987. Yeah.
I was 4.
Oh!
I was 4, and I went to see it with my parents. And let me tell you, I loved it. I was a good kid. I could be brought to theaters, and I would sit and I would watch, and I would take it in, and I would love it. I actually got mad at my cousin when we were kids, when we went to see The Land Before Time in theaters. Because she kept running around and making noise in the audience, and I was like, "Shut up!"
Baby Dave was like, "No, I know what I'm here for. You are not helping."
She was ruining the movie.
I believe it. I believe it. I was a good kid too. My first movie in theaters, I was 6 years old. It was The Lion King, and we even had a problem with the screening where they actually had to send us all away and gave us all free passes to come back later because they had a problem with the projector. And I don't remember doing anything except kind of sitting there looking at my mom like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Needless to say, I've always been a cinephile.
Start him young.
Start him young. Start him in the 80s. And speaking of the 80s, I know that y'all have been on this journey of seeing 80s sci-fi. I know I've been there a little bit too. And it doesn't have to be Arnie, obviously. But what film from the 80s most encapsulates sci-fi for you?
Oh, 80s sci-fi. It's gonna be, right now, off the top of my head, there were so many in the 80s. We even had Star Wars in the 80s, but I feel like that's still very different from like the Arnie genre and what I feel like is so encapsulates the 80s in science fiction. I'm sort of inclined to say either.
Could we just before you get into that, because you made that differentiation between Star Wars and an Arnie sci-fi movie, could we define quickly what we mean by these choices and stuff?
Yeah.
What we're talking about?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point because in characterization, they are very, very different films. I think Star Wars is much more, if I was going to boil it down to kind of one characteristic, Star Wars is like, here's an epic. Like, and I mean epic in terms of the literary, like when we say, the Odyssey is an epic tale. And I think Star Wars in science fiction was more like an epic. This was bigger, emotional. It was
space opera.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a thing I want to ask
where
you.
You're really looking at the Arnie encapsulates this is action inside. This is action. It's kind of like, to me, Michael Crichton versus Tolkien. One you read because you want something fast-paced, high action, high octane, and the other one is going to suck you in and just absorb you into the world building and the characters. It's sort of the same kind of comparison, I think, for me.
There's another question I'd like to ask you there, Liz. One thing that had come to mind with Star Wars as well, and I can see this not being the case for certain Arnie films of this era, is, and when I say this, I don't mean in the lovey-dovey sense, I mean in the classical sense. Star Wars is romantic.
It is. Well, it's closer to, the other thing I thought of is it's closer to fantasy, I would say. Star Wars rides much closer to fantasy in this way they tell stories and they approach it. Whereas I would say, what we think of as kind of the Arnies, and what I would say what we associate with 80s sci-fi is much closer to science fiction and action.
Yeah.
So
like I can picture many things with Star Wars. I can picture a lot of emotion, a lot of tension, a lot of like philosophical questioning. I can't picture that with Arnie. And if you want proof of that, watch End of Days. That is a movie where he's an ex-cop and he's got to prevent a woman from bearing the Antichrist, which they couldn't get Al Pacino, so they had to call up what's his name? Gabriel Byrne, who you call when you can't get Al Pacino. And no offense to Byrne, but still.
I'm literally looking at Byrne right now. And yeah, I can see why. And
near the end of this movie, Arnie gets on his knees in a church and prays. And when he prays, and he's giving like an earnest prayer, like he's doing it, but because of all the history that I know of Arnie, I couldn't stop laughing.
He's just too typecasted.
It broke an already mediocre to bad movie and gave it just that pizzazz, that funniness that was not intended for that moment and the end of that movie. And I couldn't stop.
You know what it makes me think of, and this is more of a side note of it makes me all the more understand why young actors at the times like Elijah Wood and Daniel Radcliffe, when they finished with their big, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, their big epic franchises that were effectively going to get everybody associating them with those characters for the rest of eternity, why the two of them went so off the rails jumping into crazy indie projects. And that stuff that is just because they basically went, we're going to force the audience to see us as something other than those characters they know us as.
Was Swiss Army Man the immediate project after Radcliffe, or did he have one in between the two?
He had Equus.
He did Horns.
Oh, right.
Equus was while he was doing Harry Potter, and that was on stage.
That's right.
I think the film,
and there was a lot of controversy over that.
Oh yeah,
it's because he was naked.
Yes. And he was still technically, he still was young. So, and everybody's like, we still see him as a kid, even if he's 18, because I think that was kind of where the gray area was, is we're so used to him playing a child younger, but at that point they were older than their characters already.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
it shows part of the stereotype.
Yeah, and
that they're trying to break from.
And it makes so much sense why they've both jumped into doing, and maybe they also just love it too. I mean, more power to them, but how to get people to see them as anything not just these two characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
them and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, they've all gone for to avoid typecasting. We are going to go off the rails in who we play,
and they're awesome at it. Yeah, they're so good.
They are. In some ways, I think that's really helped them become better actors because they've. I mean,
I'm making a Lighthouse reference because that's what my brain does.
I still need to see that movie.
It's very good, but anyway. It is
sidetracking ourselves.
let's pull it back in.
Arnie, bring us back.
So I finally watched Total Recall. I finally watched Total Recall.
What was the question that started this?
Total Recall's in the 90s.
Okay.
Let's start with the 80s. What film most encapsulates sci-fi in the 80s for you?
Right as of recently, for me, I would say Terminator.
Okay.
And I also realized that a lot of what I was watching was apparently 90s stuff. There have been a lot of others. It's just they all sort of blend together to where I don't know the exact dates. I think Last Starfighter and I think Cocoon were both 80s, and I think Batteries Not Included was as well, but it's been a lot longer since I've watched them. And all of those fall closer to, I would say, they're kind of the Steven Spielberg. They almost fall closer to Star Wars in that sort of more fantasy line, emotional era. Whereas I'm like, if I'm looking at like raw science fiction, commit to the bit, do your thing. Of what I have seen, Terminator is probably the closest to that. I also totally forgotten that was that James Cameron had started out making, like, one, I realized in looking at this that I'm like, James Cameron does sci-fi. Like, Titanic was kind of an outlier for him. Also,
oh yeah,
okay. Yeah. And also just realizing, damn, what happened to you, man?
Yeah.
That aside. That's an
there's
aside.
a lot we could get into there.
Well, that's it. That's an aside. That's a whole different thing. I just had forgotten the Terminator was James Cameron.
Which is amusing because, like, that was the franchise he was, like, known for.
But remember, too, I was born in the late 80s. So for me, I came into Terminator much later in terms of awareness. Also because my parents were much more sheltering in what I was allowed to watch up to at a certain age, because they didn't, not of we don't believe in it, but after the, like, I think I told this sort of story way back in, like, our preview episode for the whole podcast of, like,
Double
my
checking.
sister when she, yeah, my sister, it doesn't matter when, but my sister, when she was basically still a baby, my parents, she had nightmares for a week, and my parents realized it was because she had been freaked out by the Lou Ferrigno Hulk on TV. And since my sister's the oldest, my mom just chose at that point that to play it safe, she'd preferred to shelter us from certain things so that when we finally digested them, they could be more comfortable with us being self-aware enough to process them rather than risk us being traumatized because we were too young to understand something. So, and because you know how kids' brains are. I mean, some kids probably saw Lou Ferrigno and went, this is nothing. My sister was a baby and happened to be like freaky green man on TV.
Checking. So, how old were you about 91? I'm just trying to get a gauge here. Between
91, I would have been 3.
Okay, yeah, I can. So yeah, so I'd have been about 6 when Judgment Day hit.
Yeah, I didn't really become. I knew of Terminator, but it didn't really become something that was of an interest to me. In terms of something that I go, oh, I might watch that, and not because, oh, I want to see it, but it kind of shows up. It really wasn't until T3 was in conversation, because there was a pretty large gap after Terminator 2. So,
I might be a little silent for a moment.
Terminator
I'm checking
1.
some bullshit.
Dave, what was what encapsulates the 80s in science fiction for you?
See, it's really hard to say. And I say that because obviously my instinct is to go for Arnie stuff. But you got things like RoboCop movies, right? You've got Aliens comes out in 85, 86.
Another Cameron joint.
Another Cameron. Yep, Cameron everywhere.
He was really good at iconic sci-fi back in the day. He kind of helped shape it.
Yeah, he was a major player in sci-fi. A very fascinating aspect of him.
But before he even directs it, y'all know that he was the matte painter and probably a couple other roles I forget offhand on Escape from New York, Carpenters.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
That actually that explains a lot if he was working on Carpenter films, because I feel like I feel like you can see a line of influence from John Carpenter to what Cameron was producing in the 80s.
Which, we could do a whole thing on Cameron himself.
Oh,
dude's a weird dude. He makes great movies, but my God, he's kind of a garbage human being.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. But so in lieu of all these sci-fi possibilities, I'm going to go with my experience in the 80s as a kid. And I am going to go with Predator. And the reason is that I saw Terminator, fantastic movie. Kind of scary for a kid. I saw RoboCop, obviously, and I loved it, but I didn't understand it the way that I think it needs to be taken in. I didn't quite have a developed mind for it. Let's see what else. The Running Man. Again, like fun movie. I didn't quite understand everything that was going on, so again,
very
I kind of
off the rails.
Yeah. Aliens I didn't see as at that time when it was new. I saw the Alien movies in the 90s. Yeah. That was when I more took them in. Which is a shame, but at least I saw them sooner rather than later. So for me, it's Predator. You've got these men who, there's a lot of different things that you could say they represent. Definitely masculinity is in there. Masculinity of the time. I should be specific about that. It's of the time. Because you have people like Jesse the Body Ventura throwing around F slurs and like super casually. But they're also using those things as kind of like teasing each other, making jokes about women's anatomy, stuff like that, as a bonding tool for them as a group. So that way you, the audience, also understand that they've done work together before. They trust each other inherently. They don't get like upset and cry and try to fight each other. They understand that they're ribbing each other. They're having a good time. They're close knit. There's even a little bit of a separate kind of thing with Dylan, Carl Weathers, wherein they're a little suspicious of him because he's on the outside coming in, and he's kind of running things a little bit, but Arnie's the one who's really in charge. But Dylan's making certain calls because it's his mission, right? You've also got a bit of jingoism in there because USA chants. You've got a little bit of like the thing at the time was like, oh my God, this thing betrayed these guys who are like you and me kind of deal, right? Because Dylan's representing the United States and like the feds.
It's like he's explicitly CIA,
there's a lot
right?
of like CIA. He's explicitly CIA, so he's betraying them because information or whatever. We don't even know what the stuff was that Dylan was there to find. We just know it's a bunch of papers or whatever. And
like we should note too, like even then there's like the geopolitical context it's in. It's like they're explicitly like they're in Central America, aren't they, for this mission?
Like random non-named Central American country.
And like I think
so they're there,
and I think they're like in this situation because like I think they thought they were going in for a rescue op, but really what Dylan had them there for was the like to take out this gorilla cell, wasn't it?
Yeah, more or less. And so like even when they take the lady who's somehow wrapped up in it all, she's hoisted on Dylan at first because Dylan didn't want her to leave because she's a witness or whatever. But then like she more integrates into the team because she's more like down to earth, more like one of the guys kind of vibe. Whereas Dylan, even though like he starts kind of connecting a little bit with the team, he mostly connects with Mac. Which is, and I don't know, it's got kind of weird vibes if you think about it, like almost like, I don't want to lay this on the movie, but like almost kind of racial kind of thing, because they're the only two black guys and they're the ones who most like get enmeshed together. Though before that it was Jesse Ventura and Mac who were pretty close, and then Mac kind of loses it when Jesse dies and starts swearing revenge and like shooting trees with Jesse's minigun. But I'm getting off track here. they macho their way through the mission, and all the while they see little hints of something being off. And then it happens, and people start dying one at a time, because something greater than them that they don't understand or know is there and sees them as the prey. And it's using all this like insane technology, like invisibility cloaking and discs that it can throw, and
body
like crazy
hunting.
Yeah, body temperature,
So like I gotta remember which reversal of position when you think about it too.
Yeah,
because like
it subverts the macho Americans showing up in this rainforest to go do this jungle rainforest environment to go do macho American whatever, to suddenly, oh shit, you're not at the top of the totem pole anymore, or you're not at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, and like I'm trying desperately to remember what weapons this Predator has, rather than the Predator and Predator 2.
I'm pretty sure he's got the disc. Obviously, he got the laser.
Yeah, he's got the laser. He's got the disc. He doesn't have the net in this one. He doesn't have the spear either. He has the claw. Because he and Arnie go toe to toe with that a little bit, I think. Yeah, this Predator is a little bit basic, which, by the way, just as a side note, I'm so glad they went with this Predator and they didn't go with the lobster that Jean-Claude Van Damme was dressed up as.
Oh man, I gotta look at that thing again.
Which was, you're gonna have to. Which there's only like a few surviving pictures. There wasn't any real like footage that was saved of it.
God, that thing
They just went, it's not worth remembering, we're gonna not try.
And it was gonna be Jean-Claude Van Damme, another action star from the 80s, 90s, playing it.
I mean, the best way I can describe it, looking at this fucking thing, it really feels like, Mom, can I have McDonald's? We have McDonald's at home. Can I go see Alien? We have Alien at home.
Yeah.
And it's all the off-brand. It's all the off-brand weird. Like, you remember, what was it? I would say it's the 80s and 90s. There was, there were some like really like lower end animated movie companies that would literally make like, here's our version of Aladdin. And it was all very like, you looked at the covers, it was very Disney styling, boisterous animation. It was trying to do all the same things, but it was all like off-brand Disney.
Yeah. Like Titanic too.
I mean, look at this.
With the rapping dog.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's he looks like he would be in that movie Mimic.
Oh man.
Where it's like ultra massive cockroaches who have evolved to where they can look similar to humans in order to like start predating on them.
Here you go, Liz.
That's special. That's like 3 different okay, that last one looks closer to and I fully would like us to get to it later, Starship Troopers.
Or that I forget which Nightmare on Elm Street, but the exercise girl, when Freddy like pulls her into the dream and turns her into a cockroach in her dream because she's disgusted by bugs.
That has to be 2 or 3 or
I think it's 4.
4, yeah. I was gonna say that has to be one that I haven't seen, because that's definitely not the first one.
Yeah.
So,
but but yeah, but like, okay, it's not the worst design, the Jean-Claude Van Damme thing.
It's not the worst thing,
but I'm glad they
nowhere near as
I'm
iconic.
glad they didn't go with it.
It's
you know what it would fit with?
Alien.
It would fit in like an awesome kind of. It would fit in a really awesome, big budgeted version of Ultraman.
I've not seen. But I'll take your word
you know
for
what?
It.
You know what? Yeah.
I just see it looks like it's related to the Starship Troopers, like something was recycled for
Actually, Dave, my disagreement I do have one disagreement with you there. No, it doesn't need to be
Please.
high budget. That is something out of like that is something you get like out of like a 90s Ultraman show. I can see Tiga fighting this on some Sunday morning. I can see
but we got to pay Jean-Claude Van Damme.
so that's where it's high budget, because that's where your budget goes.
Congratulations, we've hired Jean-Claude Van Damme to be a stunt actor.
Oh my gosh. So for you, the encapsulation of the 80s, though, is Predator.
Yeah, because it goes from usual U.S. jingoism, macho flexing, and F-slur dropping to we're dying one by one. Our weapons aren't doing shit. And this thing is running around. What do we do? And the one thing that stops technology is mud, sticks, and explosions.
Yep. I mean,
great.
That sounds about right.
Great junk food.
I mean, I feel okay. You just in a single phrase, I think, encapsulated what makes like these sort of like iconic 80s and 90s. Great junk food. Yeah, like you maybe can't watch a ton of them all at once. Eventually you want something that's maybe a little more compelling, or something you need to break it up with some meat to your diet or some veggie, but it is just the junk food that you're just like, this is great, this is great,
Look,
this is great.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that for one reason. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s and 90s.
Well, I'm saying that type of film, but
are you saying
you
Arnie's
keep
your
digesting.
Protein?
Yes.
I'm saying I would say he's the sugar, which means he can go in many things, junk food or not junk food. It's just in junk food, it encourages a certain flavor.
Just if you're ever in public with him during that time period and you're a lady, please have lots of friends near you that can help you say no. He was quite the sex pest because he was strong, he was fit, he was handsome, and he could get away with it.
Yeah, I mean that was another trope of 80s and 90s that you see a lot. Was like it's interesting to me that we equally out of that era get some really iconic female characters in science fiction, female action heroines, but there still is that undertone. I mean, Ripley and 79, Sarah Connor, like my biggest criticism rewatching the first Terminator film recently, and I remember thinking it at the time when I watched it, and watching it again, I couldn't help but think it more. Why the nudity in the sex scene? And I mean, it's one of those things where it was just one of those things where I'm like, we did all of this, and now you felt like, oh, this isn't our film, so we've got to reward the audience. We're going to show her tits out when we've been doing all this. It was one of those things where I'm like, this is completely unnecessary to the plot in every shape and way. That being said, I will give credit to the film because, Arnie wasn't wearing anything blocking his junk, because you can see the slight shadow of floppy wieners when he's walking out of the shadows. But it's still like, come on, you still tried to put him in shadow, and her, it's just like, oh, obligatory tits. And it was just the most unnecessary thing where I'm like, so they had sex, but why did this just doesn't, it almost seemed out of place. It seemed like we got to give the audience some tits somewhere.
They had to make sex to make John Connor. And how do you know that they didn't have sex if you don't see some titties?
Yeah, apparently. Though
that's how you know in the 80s that they had the sex.
Yeah, I do still have to credit that, technically if you're paying attention, you do get shadows of Arnie Wiener. And in the second one, if you watch one of the angles where they're like, look, his knee is bent, and Patrick, I can't remember his name.
Robert Patrick,
thank you. He has his knee blocking, and I'm like, okay, but he's not either, because when he goes to stand up, they really were relying on his own leg blocking anatomy, and it wasn't entirely blocked. And I'm just like,
actually, Liz,
I kind of have to give you all credit.
Liz, what resolution were you watching at, by the way?
I was just watching on my TV. I don't pay attention to the resolutions.
So if you were in the theater at the time, given what? Okay, yep. Yep. If you're on the 4K,
much more wiener.
Oh yeah, if you're on the 4K or watching this originally in the theater projection, you're seeing wiener. I'm looking
it's so
at
much bigger too. Yeah, it's so much bigger in the theater and it's blown up, and that's the hilarity
Good night,
of
everybody!
like these high definition things. So it's like, okay, so we kind of got that, but it's funny because that nudity in the context of the story makes sense. And my thing is, it kind of, frankly, it needs to make sense within the story. That's why, like, the amount of nudity in, like, say, Westworld, to me, I'm like, it makes sense. It doesn't, even though there's a lot of it, it doesn't feel gratuitous because
it doesn't feel like fan service.
No, it feels like this is serving a purpose in the narrative by, showing this. And Arnie and Robert Patrick, both of them, it's like, this actually kind of serves a purpose. They make a point. And they even make a point in the first movie of saying clothing and, like, inorganic matter doesn't transport. But Sarah Connor's tits being out?
I mean,
I'm sorry. I've become transfixed by this fucking GIF, and now my brain's just got another Animaniacs going boingy, 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 boingy.
That's the sex scene sound. How can she transport John Connor to the future if she's wearing inorganic matter over her organic titties? That's, that's science according to James Cameron.
Science according to James Cameron is you must have titties.
Yeah. That's how the baby am made.
But yes, that also. So we like to bring us back.
Yes.
Encapsulating the 80s.
I've got my encapsulation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was yours, E? We've got Predator and we've got Terminator. So
another OR
comes from the fact that, like, I kind of went outside of just the Arnie for the 80s, but for me, I think I would say encapsulates 80s science fiction, because I think it does a good job of capturing what I feel is the great diversity within 80s science fiction, is Mamoru Oshii's 1989 Hat Labor the movie. Because what it does is you have comedy, you have action, you have headiness in there, you've got a bit of philosophy, you've got the procedural aspect, and, like, as well, when we're talking the 80s, a lot of stuff, like, we've already named, like, Terminator, we've named Aliens, we've named Predator. When we're talking about the 80s and also the 90s, since this is both genres this week, you've got the franchises. And, like, Pat Labor is part of a broader franchise. It's not as spread across as some of those others were decades-wise, until this year anyway. But it was a franchise. You had the OVAs, you had the TV series, and then you had the movie set in the OVA continuity. And it's like, and what's amazing about it to me is, like, the way it can craft all of these together without feeling discordant within itself. It's a movie that we can have the goofballs of Special Vehicles Division 2 Unit 2 doing their goofball bullshit, where they're kind of like, they're not like Police Academy level goofballs, but they're close enough. They're the black sheep of the Japanese police force. So it's like, you go in to try and stop, like, their deal is, they're in special vehicles. They deal with this new type of robot that has been rolled out, that are basically being used all over Tokyo as a new form of advanced construction equipment called labors. And so, for example, in the movie, when they get a call about one going out of control, it's just straight marching through this shantytown area that's been built up around the land reclamation project that's going on to, like, reclaim land out of Tokyo Bay. And what ends up happening is, it's not handled deftly. It winds up with one of them literally being dragged along by this walking humanoid construction robot that will not stop, and whose operator is trapped inside the thing. And it can it still manages to feel of a piece with like these headier philosophical moments as they're delving into the perpetrator behind all of this, who has littered everything he's done with these biblical references about the Tower of Babel and bringing everything down, because his whole plan is basically like to destroy the city via its own instruments of expansion. And I love that it can balance all of these moments like that without feeling contradictory in tone and tenor. It's like it's a movie where we can have a comedy bit that is literally like we've cut to a shot close up on our protagonist, full fisheye lens of them screaming at someone else in frustration and anger with the distortion. Like it becomes comedic, but it also heightens the emotional tenor of what this character is feeling in this moment. I love it. And it's like there's the bombast, there's the tension, and it feels like a kind of sensibility that is lost today, as this may bite me in the ass when I say it, but I feel like in a way, as we went through the 90s and into the 2000s, that in a way films kind of, especially mass market films, got afraid to be, what's the word I want to look for here? They became monotone in a way. Like they didn't have either they or the producers or the directors who were being chosen didn't have room enough to make these varied tones and find the way to make them work. Because like when I think about like going to Oshii as a director, he is like a lot of a lot of anime fans will think of Oshii and think of Ghost in the Shell. They'll think of him as this really heady director, this almost tediously plotting director because of the scenes in his works that are the most famous. But the thing about Oshii is he directed fucking comedies. Like he's the director who adapted Rumiko Takahashi's Urusei Yatsura movie or manga into TV and film anime with those adaptations. I know I'm kind of trembling over my own thoughts or words here. Uh and it's like those things are goofy as hell.
Mhm.
So again, so for my encapsulation, it's got to be Pat Labor, because for me, like the 80s is just this absolute breadth of voices and tones as we're kind of like trying to find our way through this decade and navigate it together.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Very nice.
Interesting. Ugh. The 80s. I did
Yeah.
look. So a lot of the films, the other films that I thought of as 80s that I haven't watched in a long time, I realized a lot of them are the ones I said that all kind of have that sort of Spielberg, more family oriented. Yeah, they're all 80s, but again, they don't encapsulate for me because I was still young, even though it was in the 90s, I had digested them. And I'm
Mhm.
realizing, yeah, as somebody who was not really aware in the 80s, since, I was born in the late 80s,
Mhm.
there is definitely an element of how much childhood plays a part in what sticks out, is what I'm noticing in these thematically with all three of us, and what kind of sticks
Mhm,
out. And for me, it's interesting because I think since you both are a little older than me,
mhm,
what stands out to me is a lot of it comes back as it's kind of a hindsight of I'm looking back and really reflecting on the 80s as I know it and have sort of digested it, but I was
mhm,
digesting a lot of the 80s in the 90s because I had
mhm,
siblings who are so much older than me. So, 'cause they were set my siblings both were definitely kids in the 80s. But it's
Yeah.
interesting because it's sort of an interesting dynamic of my digestion of 80s science fiction comes from a sort of a reversed perspective. I'm
Mhm.
noticing on this. So, an aside with all of it. Ah. What hilarity. Well, jumping from there, what do we think encapsulates the 90s? Because ultimately, I think we're going to get into... And E, you made a point I want to put a pin on for later, too, about as it relates to films nowadays. But let's put a pin in that one for later, because I think that's something we circle back to. What encapsulates 90s science fiction now for each of you? What do you think is the quintessential, 80s and 90s? So, of course, 90s, which spanned, I think, I'm going to throw this out here as theoretical. Dave, as you recall our popcorn horror discussion, I feel like the 90s was for science fiction a little bit what it was for horror, in that there was some major transition that happened.
There was a lot more comedy in the 90s.
Yeah,
to once again go back to the well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had like Kindergarten Cop, he had Last Action Hero, he had True Lies, he had Junior, he had Jingle All the Way, he had Batman and Robin.
Oh, the hit Arnold Schwarzenegger classic Jingle All the Way!
Could it be argued that the 90s was kind of his golden era?
Oh, God.
Because if the 80s was sort of introducing him to audiences, the 90s was where we started to see that breadth. Like you were seeing variety a little bit more.
I want to group his last one or two films from the 80s into that.
Okay, that's fair.
What year was Commando?
Close enough.
What year was Commando?
Commando? That was... Let me look.
85. Okay, that was 85.
Okay. Yeah. I think... What was it? You had Twins in the 80s. I want to say like 87, 88, somewhere around there. Running Man was 87. And Predator was 87. So like those are kind of like creeping into the 90s. So I guess I guess I'll put Twins up there as like kind of creeping into the 90s for Arnie. And then here's all this comedy and stuff, and we see what you have dubbed the golden era of Arnie.
It's now that you're bringing up how many of these films he's known for, and the big difference I see is that, like you said, there's more comedy in it. It's probably the big difference, but I feel like that's where we're starting. Like I said, it's the golden era for him, where we're getting action Arnie, but we're also getting Arnie the comedian.
Because he's such a great comedic actor, because he's able to keep a straight face. He's able to keep it like serious. The situations that he gets in, he takes it in seriously. And part of comedy, which, if we do a comedy year, we could talk more about it. But, part of comedy is being able to take what happens as a serious thing. Because if you do like Jimmy Fallon in Saturday Night Live, whenever you're trying to do a sketch and he just like cracks up over and over again, you can't take that seriously. It's not funny. Yeah. Because you see that the actor finds it funny, but who cares?
It takes you out of the moment.
Arnie's taking it in seriously. Like there's a scene in Last Action Hero. I know I'm getting off on this. Where he goes into a video store. Yeah. He goes into a video store with the kid, and there as a standee is Stallone as the Terminator for Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And the kid's like, that's not right. That should be you. And he's like, oh, come on. Stallone's such a great actor. Like, it's so funny. It's because those two for the 80s and 90s were always compared to one another. And they were always taken as like, well, this actor's the better action hero. This better actor's the better action hero. They were always like compared to one another for action.
Yeah.
But Arnie was the one who came out on top of that at the end. I know that there are Stallone stands out there who will probably be like, no, it's Stallone. But it's like, okay, well, tell me about some Stallone movies. We've got Cobra. We've got Tango and Cash. We've got Rocky. We've got Rambo.
What are you really thinking of when you think Stallone versus what you think Arnie.
Yeah. Most people will say Rocky and Rambo, and those started in the 70s.
Yeah.
Stallone, great as far as like his performances and great in those moments. But more people remember more Arnie roles and more Arnie movies than they do Stallone.
Yeah.
By far.
I feel like, yeah, like Stallone might be making a little bit of a comeback and I've only seen the ads for it, but like the little bit of the ads that I've seen for it, like Tulsa King, where it looks like he does an excellent job acting that, and it's obviously a very different role. I mean, he's, obviously it's been many, many years since his action hero days. It's a different type of role, but it's still like, yeah, it kind of what I think you're getting at, Dave, is like if you say Sylvester Stallone, how many people will either say Rocky or Rambo versus with Arnold, we're going to get Terminator, but there's a lot more. I feel like there's a stronger likelihood that you're going to also get a lot of other things in there. They're like everybody's got their Arnie film.
Yeah.
Or
Easy.
It's not even Arnold's, or even it's not even a film. I mean, let's be real. He was the governor of California for a time. So it's kind of like there's a little more diversity in what we know Schwarzenegger for.
Yeah.
Dave, I want to ask you a question here since you've brought it up before and you're bringing up some of Arnie's other stuff that people I don't think would as commonly think of as sci-fi. But reading over the wiki for Junior, I mean, it's set contemporaneously with when it was released, which I think would lull a lot of people into discounting it as sci-fi. But looking at the description of how that plot goes into happening, that's sci-fi. That is a dude getting that is a cis dude getting male pregnant. He's getting impreg because of a brand new drug.
Yeah. He's showing, hey, me and Danny DeVito, we're going to be doing this experiment thing. And he puts a baby in himself. And I think alongside Emma Thompson, they both give birth together because they're both pregnant. And like the ending of it is like them, I think, on a beach with their babies, like having, a good time and being happy. And like, hey, that was 1994. And I know it's a comedy and I know that it's kind of played for laughs, but like it's kind a little bit from what I remember being very pro, male pregency.
I mean, it's very trans friendly in that regard because it's basically saying, it's, in that regard, it's.
Yeah. Because otherwise, let me put a caveat in there in case there's any negative stereotypes that none of us can remember because I haven't seen that movie in some decades.
And it's from like 94, so
which means there are probably several
be careful.
Less than PC things. It's interesting though, you bring up an element that for I think what marks 80s, but especially 90s, as 90s definitely leaned into comedic, there's an element of the 90s, especially in sci-fi, kind of leaned into, I think, what people would say for that era, and even looking back on it, we'd say this is unhinged. I mean, I messaged you yesterday, Dave, when I was finishing up what. Yes, blood orgy, always blood orgy, unhinged. But I mean, okay, I watched Starship Troopers yesterday finally. And I messaged you, Dave, because you'd for a long time have been like, you watch this, and I finally watched it. I think my first answer is, this is unhinged, or delightfully unhinged. But there's a certain element of, I think, we look at those and they lean into it, but it's a way that you end up with these stories that actually do underneath. It's kind of like, you kind of wonder, and we can't know for everything, because whether or not those directors and writers will talk about it now, but it makes me wonder if some of it is they leaned into a way in which they could tell these stories that broader audiences could see them and absorb them and get some of that perspective without, because really, would you be able to make have been able to make a more serious film that was directly about male pregnancy in the 90s? Or was it a strategy or is it, intended or not, it becomes kind of a strategy of that era to bring these stories in front of a bigger audience in a way that people digest them without realizing necessarily that, you know, that's what they're taking in.
Yeah.
If that's making any sense what I'm saying at all. I'm also thinking of how, like, the Wachowski sisters have gone on record saying that, like, The Matrix is metaphorically about trans experience.
Well,
but when it came out, no one was talking about that. They were going, oh my gosh, science fiction, because it leaned so far into it. And there's an element of commit to the bit, leaning into it. And it sort of fools the eye into there's an element of it kind of fooling the eye, like where you had Star Trek that sometimes was being more like on TV, that was being more direct. You had the movies that were saying, we're maybe not going to be as direct about it, but it's still going to be there. So now we've made the audience think about it, whether they realized it or not, which I find to be immensely clever, actually.
It's like science fiction is fantastic for that. Like you mentioned Star Trek just now, and just before we got the episode going, I wrapped up a watch of Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. And so that comes out like 1990 or so, if memory serves.
It's feeding off a lot of, I think, Cold War
Exactly. It's like, especially with
impact. Yeah, it's very Cold War fed.
like we're getting like the collapse of the Soviet Union around that point, which is mirrored in the collapse of the Klingon Empire with the destruction of their resource moon that finally like forces them to, they're going to have to draw down everything in order to, literally survive. They're predicting like a 50-year potential collapse if nothing's done. And the thing about that is that I love that it gets at is when you've operated in this space for so long, you've had people whose careers, their very ideologies have been formed by this dynamic, and now they're all being told that dynamic is going to have to go away. How do they respond to it? And it's not so much for like Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise are a little lost, but they're adaptable to what's going on. Aside from Kirk with his personal grievances against the Klingons, that he himself admits that as the story goes on, he had not realized just how prejudiced he had allowed himself to become until Gorkon is murdered over it. But it incite, like, spoilers here, folks, like the movie is literally about the repercussions that happen as a conspiracy of actors on both sides, both Starfleet and the Klingon military, conspire to assassinate Gorkon, the chancellor of the Klingon Empire, who is spearheading these peace talks in the name of saving the Klingon Empire as best it can be saved. And you have both sides who, like, there's talks about drawing down Starfleet. I had actually forgotten that about the movie. They don't just talk about like, oh, Starfleet's gonna stick around. There is like genuine concern that Starfleet will be drawn down, because the implication at this point is like, yeah, Starfleet does its scientific missions and whatnot, but at this point, it's very much become a military organization because of the detente, like the uneasy detente with the Klingon Empire. And so you have Admiral Cartwright on the Starfleet side. You have General Chang on the Klingon side coming together to do this horrific thing that is basically threatening to plunge the two from a Cold War into a hot war just so they can salvage the status quo for themselves. I forget Kim Cattrall's character's name. She plays the Vulcan whom like Spock is like, he believes in her so much he's like getting ready to make her his replacement on the Enterprise. And like she is bought into this nightmare, and it is amazing to me.
Well, the shock in that film is really the reveal that even a Vulcan, the most logical, but then they hit home that the drive of that is that is that her justification is this is the most logical solution.
And like
So
she's
it's getting at an underlying thing of belief and ideology and how that can shape, and to her it actually is the most logical, because they essentially say her justification for her actually siding with what seems to be the most unhinged plans is that actually she is being the most logical,
and
she is being extremely Vulcan. And that's the challenge between Spock and her, because you have Spock who, they constantly remind you through the movies, through the series, that Spock, they remind you that Spock is actually part human a little bit in the older films, but what they more often emphasize is that Spock, being around humans, I think, has learned to see the value in the way humanity sees the world,
and Nimoy
and
plays
how
that
it
so
enhances
well.
and how it enhances the Vulcan perspective is
There was
really, and I say that because they don't dwell as much on the fact that Spock is part human, other than when his mother is on screen a little bit, and maybe most in Voyage Home. But otherwise, Star Trek does not. It was really the newer Star Treks that dwelt more. The when J.J. Abrams, kind of like the 2009, that dealt, I'd say, made it a little more overtly of Spock is part human. Whereas previously, it was a little bit more nuanced in that, yes, so he happens to be part human, but he really was raised Vulcan. So this is him more going from the ideology and thought methods of Vulcans to seeing how he can be basically kind of how being human, being around humans and taking the way humans think
he's the
actually
synthesis.
makes
He's
him
the
better as a
synthesis.
Vulcan. Yeah, he synthesizes it more.
Because
Yeah.
there's this wonderful line he tells her when she's in his quarters and he's I guess it's a ceremony of some sort with with this wine glass of his,
Yeah.
and what he tells her as they're talking about these very topics is like she kind of imparts like her belief in like of being logical and not quite understanding her place now as everything is getting so topsy-turvy. And one of the things he points out to her is logic is only the beginning of wisdom, not the end of wisdom. And like it's just it is this amazingly, like, I don't want to use the word empathic, like in part because even in that movie Spock is like, if I were human, I'd say so on and so forth. And he does his little shtick about at this point it's like it's a bit of a shtick and a play acting uh on Spock's part, not Nimoy's part, but Spark's part, bleh, Spock's part, where
Sparky.
oh my
He is Sparky
god,
now. He is now Sparky.
oh my god, where he's playing it up because of the history he has with his crewmates in this regard.
Hmm.
But what it
Yeah.
is it's so deeply empathic, which I love, and it works especially well with the thematic nature of what the Vulcans are supposed to represent, because they are at their core empaths. And Spock, like, obviously Spock is a metaphor for the bridging of two worlds in a single person, of multiculturalism and of being pulled this way and that by these sometimes contradictory or at least um conflicting aspects of your cultural backgrounds, and trying to find the way to make them meet. And so I just love the fact that, like, in this way Spock is the most empathic member of this crew. And it's like we'll see that as, like, as we go into the 90s in the production of Star Trek with TNG, Spock has retired from Starfleet and has become a ambassador now, and it is just such a perfect course for that character and of the core message of Star Trek, of bringing new worlds, bringing different people together. I love
So
that
then,
about
by
it.
with that, because it sounds like for you, then in some
Hmm.
ways, what encapsulates, if anything, like early '90s is undiscovered country.
Initially I was going to say, amusingly, I was going to say, hold on to your butts. It's Jurassic Park, but as I say that now,
hearing you talk about it, I feel like, yeah,
I think you're right, because a lot of things that I would say Jurassic Park did, I think Star Trek 6 kind of gets there first by about, what, 4 years, 3 years?
Well, in Undiscovered Country, I think leaned into doing some of
Mm-hmm.
the things that Star Trek really did best in
Mm-hmm.
what I would say, which is its gold, like, because the 90's were looking at what I would say is a golden era for Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. It's like you've
In
got...
terms of what we were seeing, we had
Mm-hmm.
Next Generation, you had DS9.
Mm-hmm.
Undiscovered Country, I think, in a single film encapsulates what Star Trek did best, which
Mm-hmm.
was looking at the world and making us confront our normal world
Mm-hmm.
through looking at in the world of this fiction
Exactly.
this fiction that's not that is fiction, but is kind of not, because it's also kind of a what if we could be better. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I'm going to point that this is why my go-to in the last years, a lot of times my go-to when I've
Mm-hmm.
just been sort of depressed about life, I've gone back and rewatched Voyager,
Mm.
because I just wanted, or I'll go back and rewatch, if not Voyager, any Star Trek, because I've said it to people, I'm like, because sometimes I just need to go see stories being told from a perspective of what if we didn't totally fuck it up, or
Mm-hmm.
we eventually figured our shit out,
And Liz...
because that's the
Mm-hmm.
whole premise of that universe. What if we
And
eventually got our shit together?
thinking about, too, you talk about, like, you point out what I've said here with Star Trek 6 being like this encapsulation of 90s science fiction. It's also like a full maturation of what they're doing in the original series as well. You've got that blend of action, you've got that blend of comedy, you've got that blend of the heady philosophical, and it's all coming together in this very natural, free-flowing gestalt that doesn't contradict itself. It's a movie where you can have a comedy bit about, like, them being a little shocked about, I cannot remember how they pronounce her race. It's like you turn the word chameleon into an alien race name, the shape-shifting lady.
Yeah. It's a
And
movie where you can have Kirk win a fight. You can have a tragic moment of Kirk being framed for a murder with the
mm-hmm,
excuse being used that it's because of his own grief for his son, and have a real tragedy of his
mm-hmm,
own prejudice coming back to bite him because someone is now using it
mm-hmm.
to frame him for something he didn't do. You can have that tragedy
Also,
happening alongside of Kirk
mm-hmm.
winning a brawl winning a prison brawl, for dominance, because he kicked a guy in the knee, and finding out immediately after the fact when the other alien woman looks at him and goes, "What, you just think everybody who's bipedal has their genitals in the same spot as you?" And the implication being that of, you kicked him in the nuts. It's just that guy's nuts were in his knees. So,
And
Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, it
was.
Shout out to who knows that movie.
Carry on for a second, guys. I have a cat where he should not be. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that straight up is he goes to kick a guy because he thinks he's losing the fight, and then the guy collapses, and she's like, "What, do you think everybody has their genitals in the same place as you?" And you're just kind of, as a viewer, going, "Did they just make a dick joke?"
Yeah. And you know what? I'm here for it.
Right?
Like,
right.
Why not have unique anatomy for different beings, right?
Oh, you should see what some of the fandoms on the internet do with things like Star Wars. I've seen some Star Wars fanfics that have gone full into the alien anatomy.
Yeah.
Fun thing about fandoms is a lot of the fandoms out there, you will find the horny side. Just go to, if you're not sure where it is, go to AO3. You will find the horny side.
You talk about that, like, if memory serves, like, what some of the first slash fics were, right? Like, back in the zines.
Yeah.
It was
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of fandom as we know it now pays a lot of homage. It really, if we didn't have Star Trek, I don't think we'd have modern fandom in the way that we do, because Star Trek kind of started it. But that aside.
And just like comedy, we can talk about romance and erotica further down the line if we decide on that eventually.
Come back. Dave, I want to know what your 90s. I want to know what your encapsulating of the 90s science fiction was for you. Because we got a lot in the 90s.
Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Okay, that was
I saw that on my
90s.
birthday, and I feel very sad about it. But that's not the one.
No. The end of the 90s is still the 90s.
It is. And there's a lot of movies I could say. I could go to the Schwarzenegger well. My man Arnie with like Total Recall, Terminator 2, Junior, Eraser, Batman and Robin, kind of technically. Like superhero is generally, not always, but generally like a subgenre of sci-fi.
Yeah. It's closely rooted in science fiction.
Yeah. Which that could be a really cool discussion in its own right. But casting that aside, I'm not going to say an Arnie movie there.
I want to know what one.
By Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvone, you shall be avenged.
Yes!
It is
Galaxy
Quest.
I still gotta see that.
How have you not seen that?
I'm
Galaxy
weird.
Quest.
I highly encourage it. That is an iconic film.
Yeah, and it's even got that one guy who plays
Alan Rickman?
the Macintosh.
Yeah, him,
in the commercial with John Hodgman.
Yeah, it has
Justin
a lot of big names.
Something or other. He was also in Barbarian, and most recently,
how old was he?
John Hodgman and him came back
Justin Long
to do a commercial for Ozempic.
Yeah,
or an Ozempic style brand.
No, it is for Ozempic, because I've been seeing those ads on Amazon while I was rewatching the Expanse. They kept playing those Ozempic ads, and I remember sitting there thinking, "Is that guy from?" I just couldn't remember his name, but I was like, "Is that guy from?"
I think his name is Justin.
Yeah, but it is Ozempic that he's doing promotions for.
But yeah, Justin Long. But just quick sidetrack. Look, if your doctor says you should check out Ozempic or another GLP, that's between you and your doctor. Otherwise, don't fall for those commercials. Don't do it.
All these drug ads, yes. The most use I see for them is if you happen to be in a boat and are in it, it doesn't hurt to ask your doctor about it, but don't assume it's going to fix your problem, because the ads are also marketing. They are marketing. They are trying to sell a product. I
don't know why the Williams sisters are doing that.
Everybody's got their reasons, and there's reasons. I know people who take GLP-1s, and you know what? At the end of the day, that's between you and your doctor, and that's what we leave it at, folks.
Yeah. So, Galaxy Quest. You do not have to be a Star Trek nerd, even though it's framed as a Star Trek style show, to love this movie. It has a star-studded cast, like Tony Shalhoub. You've got Alan Rickman, Sigourney Weaver.
You got Cocaine Man.
Tim Allen, Cocaine Man.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell. You've got who's the lady that plays the squid alien that falls for Tony Shalhoub?
I don't remember her name, but I've seen her in other places.
She's been everywhere, and she's so awesome, especially in this movie. Like
Missy Pyle.
Missy Pyle.
I mean,
all of them.
You've got baby Justin Long in it, you know.
Yeah, all of them in this movie are fantastic. This movie, the script, everything. You see the experience of conventions. You see the experience of people who were in this show for a while and what their lives are like post-show. You see how, like, Tim Allen, ignoring his real life, whatever, he's a strong actor. And you see, I think this is his best role.
I agree.
You see him play a guy who is like Al Bundy or like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, where they have that one moment in high school, like playing football. Tim Allen's character doesn't play football. That's not what I'm getting. But what I'm getting at is like the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
They have that one play that everybody freaked out about because it won them the game, and maybe they got like a little Heisman Trophy or something like that. And they live their entire life on that moment. They don't grow up. They don't move past that. They don't make other moments. Nothing like that. And Tim Allen's character, Jason, I think.
Jason Alexander, if I'm not mistaken, is the character.
No, Jason Alexander is...
oh, no, that's Rickman's.
No, Jason Alexander is goddamn Seinfeld.
George?
Jason Nesmith. That's what. No, you know what? I'm mixing it up. It's because he's Jason Nesmith is his character, and Rickman's character is Sir Alexander something. Dang. That's why it kept coming up as Jason Alexander. I've not actually watched Seinfeld. That's why my brain is combining them.
Yes.
It's all
I was in
pipes.
the pool. It's
Jason Nesmith is who he plays.
So Jason Nesmith. So he has that experience, but it's with this show. And it's with this show because he's the main character. He's the Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all he knew. That was what he was lauded for. That was all he was known for. And that was everything to him. Even though he treats the fans like shit, he treats his fellow performers like shit in various ways. He treats Hollywood like it's in a weird kind of flippant way, but also as being part of that system. Like it's an interesting style of critiquing the Hollywood system in a sense.
He kind of treats it like Hollywood owes him.
Yes, Hollywood owes him. And so he can't really seem to get much more work beyond Galaxy Quest, the show. And so he's always going to these like conventions and stuff because he's still getting money off of that.
Which is amusing when you think about it. Because like in that like all the stories about Shatner aside, Shatner was still able to work the system. He's like Star Trek ends. I mean, he's got T.J. Hooker that he's like people who don't love him as Kirk, they love him as Hooker.
Yeah. I mean, hell, he was able to do an album with Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
Where they did spoken word. And it's a music album.
And you know who else has done an album from the Star Trek era? Nimoy.
Bilbo Baggins.
He has a whole album of like folk style, that era almost, and it's about Star Trek, and it's Nimoy singing.
Yeah.
Which is about as strange as it sounds, and I sort of love the just absurdity of it.
Can I throw one more on-topic interlude in here real quick about Galaxy Quest that ties into another one of our that which we can never escape from? Reading off the wiki here, Gordon's initial drafts added elements of humor to Howard's script, such as the Protector scraping the walls of the space dock when Weber pilots the real ship for the first time. The scene with the Chompers leading into the Omega-13 came from Gordon's viewing of the horror film Event Horizon, which featured a rotating tunnel lined with sharp blades leading into the ship's engine room. We will never escape this black hole of a film!
This blood orgy of a film.
I kind of love that Event Horizon can be attributed as inspiration. And
where we've gone, we do need eyes to catch all these references.
Yeah, but can we add that the movie Galaxy Quest leans into that in the absurdity, that the absurdity of that's how they came there, and that they basically have that on the moment, on the nose meta moment in it when Sigourney Weaver goes, "Whoever wrote this episode needs to die," as they're trying to go through it.
I think I know what I'm watching tonight, by the way.
You were watching Galaxy Quest, so help me.
I hope you do. Like, it's a really good movie. It's a really fun movie. It's one that even I, as somebody who has watched very few episodes of Star Trek, mostly movies, but even then not too many. It is something that it captures sci-fi very well. It captures it in a way that it makes jokes, but it's not mean about it. It's very homage. It's very honorific toward sci-fi in its own special kind of way.
It's in-group.
Yeah.
Well, if I can add too to what you're saying, Dave, I actually have read, and I've read this about this story a few times on the internet, but Patrick Stewart, when it first came out, was very skeptical and had thought, this is just making fun of Star Trek. I'm not going to see it. It wasn't until, I want to say, when I've read it, I think it was Jonathan Frakes contacted him, or one of the other guys who was one of his other co-stars on Star Trek, actually contacted him and went, no, you need to see it. And Patrick then went and finally saw Galaxy Quest, and his realization was, this is a love letter to the fans of Star Trek. But he had exactly that trepidation that this is just going to be making fun of Star Trek. It's going to be making fun of Star Trek, of the people in Star Trek, of the fandom. But then coming away that it was real and realizing this is a love letter.
And I imagine
to Star Trek fans, and that he thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, and I imagine that people who have been through that system, especially Star Trek or one of the Star Trek series, could probably have recognitions and form special connections to Galaxy Quest that they wouldn't otherwise have, that we, as just an audience, even those who are like big fans of Star Trek, don't get. And I think that that's a very special thing to have.
Seeing bits of their own experiences represented in it. And then the movie also, that it doesn't do one at the expense of, say, what the fans are. Like, at the beginning, you maybe start to think, is this going to be at the expense of the fans? But they make it very clear at the beginning of the film that, yes, some of these people are a little strange, but that, like, Jason's a jerk to the fans. And these fans are just, and that it celebrates the fans, I mean, the fans save the day.
Justin saves the day.
Yeah. But that it really is kind of celebrating to me, it celebrates this sort of strange but beautiful culture of fandom that includes the people who have created Star Trek, but it's this strange culture that has emerged as a result of these stories. Yeah.
And that's why it is my pick for the movie of the 90s. It's just so good.
It is. Gosh, that is such a good movie. I need to watch it again.
See? Exactly.
You never can go wrong watching Galaxy Quest. Let's be real. You never goes wrong.
It's on like half a dozen different streamers, apparently.
Yep.
With good reason.
Never go wrong. For a long time, a friend had on their roommates on their shared whiteboard said something like, but it was in response to it was something there they'd written on their little whiteboard, by Grapthar's hammer, what a savings. Yep. And it was on the whiteboard that went on the refrigerator, on the shared fridge.
God.
By the way, I found the quote.
I don't want to spoil anything for E.
I don't want to say anymore.
But
you need to watch this so we can all have enjoyment. Yes. I was right. It was Jonathan Frakes. Yes. Yes.
But E, when you watch it, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
If I could figure out how to record the screen, I'd be half tempted in the Discord tonight to just throw that into as a watch party.
Well, maybe we just need to do a watch party. Maybe we need to do a stream, a watch party for you to watch and enjoy it.
I'm game.
Could be good.
I mean, I have the Star Trek Online MMO. I don't know how it is. I've had it for years. I could always throw that on and see how that goes while you watch it. But maybe that's what we need to do. Okay. Thoughts for later.
Yes.
Pin in that Voidwalkers. We're putting a pin in it. A very big ass pin. Actually, we're putting Grapthar's hammer on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do I need Thor to lift it?
This is Grapthar's hammer.
Yeah, you need
Do not besmirch
exactly.
Grapthar's hammer. Alan Rickman's gonna be shaking his fist from the grave at you.
Anyway,
rest in peace. Another good one.
So what you're saying is if I do this enough, I can get Alan Rickman's ghost to haunt me, which means I get to have Alan Rickman's ghost in my vicinity, which means by not even proxy, I just get Alan Rickman in my house.
I mean, knowing some of the other stuff he's done, that would be an experience of himself.
Fuck
I feel like having
hammer.
Alan Rickman haunt.
Come haunt me, Alan Rickman.
I don't know. I feel like having Alan Rickman haunt you would end up being something like an experience. It would be something like his character Gabriel in Dogma, where just immensely dry and sarcastic and crass. And what the fuck are you doing?
For a second there, I thought you were talking to Shane.
No. I'm not talking to Seamus. Although Seamus is giving me a look. Seamus is giving me such eyes right now.
But yeah, so who's next on the
I think that's me
90s?
Actually. Oh, I guess that's me. So 90s it feels like is so much harder because I feel like that was an era that I was taking in a lot. But I will have to say I feel like for me 90s is actually most encapsulated. So you remember how Dave you said for you it was like I mentioned the interesting thing of like for you because you were a kid watching RoboCop, but like that's kind of your. This is I think where that happens, but for me, because I actually would say Jurassic Park probably truly encapsulates most of the 90s for me. Mm-hmm. And that's because for me, I remember as like, because I was Jurassic Park came out in 93. Well, I was 5 years old, and I remember hearing about Jurassic Park because my dad had seen it at some like a special screening, and so I'd heard the stories like everybody cheered when the lawyer died and all of these things. But I was a kid obsessed with dinosaurs in those years, like when Jurassic Park came out. So of course dinosaurs were all more the thing because you had this big ass movie that was making these huge splashes. So I was very, very just like obsessed with dinosaurs. It's funny because in hindsight, when I think about like things kids are scared of, I had this poster on my wall of a T-Rex from like some children's book or an illustration from some children's targeted book that was about dinosaurs. And in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, that picture like would have scared other children. And I had it hanging on my ceiling or had it hanging on the wall behind my head, on my bed. It was just dinosaurs. I was obsessed. I remember going to my dad when I was probably 5 and being like, I want to be, what do you call someone who studies dinosaurs? Basically asking him what a paleontologist was because I didn't have the word for it and he told me. And then of course, fast forward to me telling some random lady in a Christian bookstore, I want to be a paleontologist when she asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, and watching her mind explode. Because I knew what the fuck that was. I was always checking out the dinosaur books. So Jurassic Park right there for me was something that at a very young age I was aware of. I also was aware that I was not allowed to watch it. Because, again, my parents were very careful about sheltering, or just limiting what we would take in because they didn't want us to digest something and have negative effects when we were still too young of an age to kind of handle and process it. So I spent most of my childhood up until the age of 12 absolutely looking forward to the day that I would watch Jurassic Park, which happened when I was 12 years old. We rented it and my dad sat down and watched it with me because I finally was allowed to watch Jurassic Park. Like, it was an event in my head. It stands out. I finally got to see it. I loved it. By that point, after that, I read the book. I'm a huge fan of Michael Crichton, and as I've talked with you both as well, like, I've actually been doing a lot more work in connection with some of like looking at metrics and analyzing text as relates to Michael Crichton. He was one of the authors that got me kicked into analyzing text. So it's this whole thing. There's also, though, admittedly for me, there's a lot of nostalgia that also is associated with, because my dad used to work for a massive nonprofit science organization organizing their annual meeting. Well, at kind of the peak of Jurassic Park fame, they invited Crichton to be the keynote speaker at that event. So that's also like the nostalgia for me. Like, my copy of Jurassic Park is signed by Crichton because my dad met him and talked to him, and so yeah, Jurassic Park is very special to me.
Man,
and it just sort of encapsulates the beauty of what film can do for science fiction and storytelling, and it never gets old. It's also, to me, it encapsulates the 90s in a way that it holds up. It holds up. That combination, because they were using digital effects, but they were very seamlessly combining practical effects and animatronics and puppetry with the use of digital effects to fill in those gaps. And the way it holds up, to where so many things nowadays, it's like computer, computer, computer. I look at Jurassic Park and I'm like, this looks so authentic. And I know they're using digital. They did use digital as well in Jurassic Park. It just was used to a much subtler extent. And so to me, it just kind of, to me, what Jurassic Park encapsulates is what you can do with a movie. What you can do with a movie. And it tells a tight story, it stays on theme, it melds the creative effects in a way that, again, it holds up. Decades later, it holds up as a film. Frankly, looks better than a lot of other films.
Oh, God, yes.
So, yeah, it looks so much better. So that's probably it for me. I will add that for the 90s... Actually, no, I'll save that for later. I know The Matrix was the end of the 90s. It was another movie I didn't see for a few years until a few years afterwards. So in a way, for me, the Matrix I kind of associate more with the early aughts, I think, in terms of relation to when I saw it. But I feel like there is something very specific about The Matrix that captures the transition of science fiction at the end of the 21st century. Because I think that captures that sort of, again, not in the exact same way, but a little bit, Dave, what you and I've talked about of what Scream did for bringing prior horror into the next century, of kind of bridging. So, but that's a different aside. But yeah, for me, it's Jurassic Park. It also, yeah. You had something.
Have I ever told you two of my Jurassic Park stories from childhood? So that summer, I was obsessed with Jurassic Park. It's like that was. I'm double checking it now. Jurassic Park release date, and
it would have been 93.
June 93. So I'd have been 8 that September. So yeah, that fits. So yes, that was the summer directly after first grade, and so I think I had to have seen the movie in theaters with my parents, if I remember it right. And loved it so much, I became utterly obsessed with dinosaurs, to the point that I even got into Barney as, like, you know, a 7-year-old, only because of the fact that he was a dinosaur. That was a lot less long-lived. That was like, this is not the dinosaurs I'm really looking for, but okay. I'm
sorry. Gonna have a. These are not the dinosaurs you're looking for.
Yes. But I also had one of those Velociraptor plushies where, like, it's like, you know, it's fabric print for all the pattern and whatnot. And I carried that thing everywhere, including to vacation Bible school each day that fucking summer. Which I think coincidentally was also dinosaur themed vacation Bible school that year.
Oh my god.
And then, like, I'm checking the dates now. The VHS hit in October of that year, so it couldn't have been that summer that I watched it. So it would have been the summer of 2nd grade going into 3rd grade that I concocted the plan to, because I was one that, like, there were not a lot of kids, if any, in my neighborhood growing up. So the only time I got to be around peers was at school, so summers were hell for me. Because, like, no one was around, nothing was in, like, I could, like, even if I rode a bike, which I still required training wheels at the time, anyone else I knew was fuck all away, not in biking distance, really. Because, like, my best friend at the time was on the other side of fucking town. So I decided I would pass the entire summer. I was like, how do I make the day go by fast? You know what makes the time go by really fast? When I watch Jurassic Park. So I decided what I would do was watch Jurassic Park every day on repeat just to make the summer go faster.
Oh my god.
Nice.
I
love that.
It lasted for at least a week, I think.
That's amazing.
I didn't wear out the tape, but still.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like,
you got a lot of Jurassic Park in.
And like, lifelong dinosaur fan after that. Also, now that I think about it, while obviously that plushie is not Velociraptor movie size, I think it might actually be actual Velociraptor size. Can we bring back actual Velociraptors? They're like adorable dino turkeys. Of course, being like dino turkeys, you gotta wonder if there's a possibility that they might be able to fly.
I mean, as we discover more and more about dinosaurs, I find it hilarious. The more we discover, the more it's much more like, yeah, dinosaurs were probably more like chickens and oversized this. And I'm like, that just makes it all the more glorious how well Jurassic Park, the original, holds up when you consider that the science and speculation about what dinosaurs actually looked like now is so different. It's like, oh yeah, these were the equivalent of like this. And I'm just like, I sort of love that insanity of it.
And
like it like the modern sensibility.
Can we feed them a bunch so they're really chubby? Tiny chubby raptor, tiny chubby fluffy raptor.
I mean, after the video I saw the other day from one Instagram account where this person, I guess, does a lot of rescue of farm animals, including a disabled chicken, and she's like, her video was captioned something like, my sister gave my mother, grandkids. I gave her a disabled chicken who can dance. And it's literally a video of this person's mother holding this chicken in her hands like this. Its wings are out and she's doing this and the chicken's wings are going like the chicken is having the time of its life while this woman is basically like, I'm dancing with my grand chicken, like absolute joy. And I'm just like, the fact that dinosaurs be more closely related to that than the, monstrous lizards that we once believed they were. But to me, that just makes Jurassic Park all the more enjoyable because it's in some ways now.
It's that frog DNA.
But it's just so sincere about it. One, because where was science at the time? We didn't necessarily have all the same speculation as we do now. But there's such a sincerity of, this is fiction. Fuck it. We're going to do what we want.
That reminds me, Dave, we got a thing for Liz sometime.
You do, and I know you do, and I know it has to do with Jurassic Park. So, but yeah, that is a movie that I will admit has also stayed as a soft spot in my heart forever since then. So it does it. Now, as we're mentioning the 90s, though, I realized I did end up this week
I'm looking at those files.
A bunch of other 90s science fiction that I hadn't seen before. And I did finally watch a bunch. Now, 80s, but I did finally watch that Running Man. Mind you, first I read the book, then I saw the new movie, and then I saw the Arnie movie. And you do not need the book or the other the remake to watch that one, because trust me, it's so different, and that was so unhinged. Oh my gosh, that was so unhinged.
So great.
So unhinged. I have to admit, I will say, I will right away say, I actually would say I enjoy more the new movie, but I also read the book first, and the new movie is so true to the book, and the book has such a distinct storyline. And I will say, that movie is the most Edgar Wright film I have ever seen. For it being an Edgar Wright film, it does not have anything in it that to me feels really Edgar Wright about it, other than one actor appearing in it. Even the changes it makes from the book, one, King promoted this movie. This movie got his blessing, whereas King actually asked to have his name removed from promotion from the original Running Man because he's like, this is so not like my book, which is so funny because I'm like, yeah, it's very Arnie though. It is very Arnie.
And yet they do a little Easter egg for Arnie being on the dollar.
And I kind of love that. It's acknowledging that the Running Man, Arnie put it in the culture in his way. Yeah. And I think it's just more King didn't, and I could see why King didn't feel comfortable with that movie having his name attached to it because it was so different from his book. And it's not the first time he's done that, where a movie has been so different that he's asked to be removed from promotion.
Are we feeling shiny?
Yeah.
But yeah, that aside, that's a whole aside because that goes into remakes now versus then, and we probably could honestly have a whole other discussion about remakes that are happening now of 80s and 90s movies. But I did watch a bunch of other movies. Like, I'd not seen Total Recall before.
I finally watched that this weekend too.
You
Tell me about it.
Yeah, what was your take on
experiences?
Yes.
I like Verhoeven stuff, so I really enjoyed that. And okay, we go with folks. Actually, I'll ask you two. So we've all seen Total Recall now. We've all seen it now.
Yeah, we've all seen it.
Okay, folks, spoiler alert for Total Recall. I kind of love the fucking reveal that Hauser was a piece of fucking colonialist shit.
I like that. And that actually really worked.
And Quaid's response is, fuck no, I'm not gonna die to become this guy again. No.
And it's sort of a subvert the whole idea of returning to his identity because that's who he truly is, and Quaid being like, no, I'm my own man, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, it's like, this guy sucks. Sorry that you were here first, man, but you gotta blow ass.
You got the fuck out of Dodge. It's my town now. Yeah. That movie cracked me up. That was a movie that does what I think the more campy side of 80s and 90s science fiction does ever so well, is they lean so far into their bit. Like, they commit to their bit. They believe it, and it makes it work because it lends a sincerity to the story. Even watching now going, this is a bit absurd. It just lends.
Speaking of gratuity, how about that lady with three tits?
See, in that movie, it actually bothers me less because it was like, what? Okay, yeah.
It feels like
she's trying to work. She's trying to work.
She is, but it also feels like it's playing on comedically on the whole nudity thing a little bit.
It is. It's very, well, again, it's subverting the token nudity because it's also weird, but she plays it completely seriously.
Which makes it all the better.
Yeah, like, that doesn't actually bug me really at all because I'm like, it kind of works. It kind of, to me, is I kept thinking of that in the sense that the movie leans into its own ridiculousess. And that is very much a part that just leans into itself and just says, we know what we're doing here.
And also, like,
and we're going to do it anyways.
I really feel for, like, because, like, if you remember, she's the one who gets got by Richter. Yeah. Like, when she's trying to distract him, and she won't give him the information he wants. And, like, they do it a couple times in the film where, like, Cohagen and his men, they deal with a setback or a loss by taking it out on other people and things. Like when when Lori gets killed. Like, Lori, we find out, she's not just an agent, she's also Richter's lover. So and like, when Richter finds her, it's a moment that humanizes him a good bit. Like, we realize, like, this guy is a colonialist authoritarian jackboot, but he still has these human emotions. But then we see how he sublimates that grief by murdering innocent people.
Yeah, it's hard to feel sympathy for the guy who's sad because he lost somebody he cares about when he goes and just coldly kills a whole bunch of other people who had nothing to do with it.
Especially, and just because he needs to, he's this bitter, this angry that he has to inflict it on someone else. He's not the kind of person who can take his pain and say, I need to make this stop happening for others. He's the kind of bastard who goes, I need to make other people feel this pain. And the people
Dare
who
we
need
say
to...
he's...
Mm-hmm.
Was it... Dare we say he is the quintessential of this masculine rage?
Mm-hmm.
Because think about all the male characters who
Mm-hmm.
are actually the sincere good guys are played much softer.
Exactly.
Much more empathetic
Mm-hmm.
to the other characters, to their experiences, much more... And then you get this guy who is just testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, like, male rage, and he sucks.
And, like, Cohagen, like, we get that humanization that it's like Hauser was not just a subordinate of his; they were friends, and you can feel that in his performance. I forget the actor's name. He was the asshole in RoboCop. Ronnie Cox.
He's been in a lot.
Well, so, and he also is. You're talking about the same guy who, when I was watching it, I was like, "Wait, is that Senator Kinsey from Stargate? Oh
yes.
shit, it's Senator Kinsey.
Yes,
all Ronnie you do is play dicks. He plays dicks, and he plays them so
Apparently
well.
He used to not play dicks. Apparently he started playing dicks after getting cast by Verhoeven. Oh my god, he was in Deliverance.
He does a good job of it. He does a good job of it because his reoccurring character, every time Kinsey shows up in SG-1,
he's a hard ass.
You just want to... he just shows up and you want to be like, you're an asshole. You are an asshole.
But so, like, when Cohagen realizes that Quaid has gotten away and Hauser is not coming back, it's like, what does he do? He kicks over his fucking fish tank and watches the fish. And this is symbolic of what he's doing to Venustown, because he's cut off the air for them. He just watches the fish suffocate.
Yeah.
And it's like,
these are guys whose these are guys whose attitude, if I can't have it, no one gets it.
And it's such a
if I'm miserable, then everybody else has to be miserable.
Of colonialism too.
Yup.
Including like
it sucks for me, so it's gonna suck for you, even though that doesn't really there's no connection to this.
And it's like the entire thing, like the big secret in Total Recall that they don't want getting out is that the alien artifact they discovered was this reactor that would convert the ice core of the planet into a steady stream of oxygen that was left behind by some predecessor race. And so, like, what I find fascinating there is, like, Cohagen obviously has his material interest that if this thing is put into operation, he don't got business no more, because he's literally in the business of selling air to the colonists.
Yep.
But the other thing there is, like, obviously we as viewers and critics understand this, but I think he honestly does believe the line that he's selling, that they don't know what'll happen if they turn it on, because he talks about, like, if we turn this on, it'll cause a tritium reaction. That's why they didn't turn it on 500,000 years ago. So we gotta leave this thing where it is. So he's convinced himself of this lie, because, like, I forget the exact phrasing, like, the easiest way to get a man to believe a lie is to make his income dependent on it.
Yeah. Well, it plays into a theme that I've heard, an idea I've heard across many stories, of, like, true bad guys don't believe they're the bad guy.
Yeah.
They're committed to what they do, which I will add the side note that I once heard Nathan Fillion do his version of that when he had to play the idiot character in Much Ado About Nothing, and he goes, the way I played it is like, a real bad guy doesn't believe he's a bad guy. He just he believes he's the good guy and that's what makes him bad. He goes, stupid people don't realize that they're stupid, which is what makes them stupid. And that's how he played that character, and he plays that character as very stupid.
I found the quote. Upton Sinclair, as in the jungle Upton Sinclair. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it.
Why does this sound like today?
Oh,
Oh, why does this sound so familiar? Side note, we won't get into that.
Because Verhoeven's whole shtick for when it comes to sci-fi is doing treatises on capitalism and fascist authoritarianism through the lens of over-the-top sci-fi action.
Let's just say he could see the writing
really
on
good
the wall.
work.
Yeah, he could see the writing on the wall.
Which, speaking of, Liz,
and wrote it into a movie.
You said earlier you watched Starship Troopers for the first time.
And I was hoping we could get to that. The symbolism stuff in it aside, that to movie is the other one that I think of where what makes it, and all I'd heard of Starship Troopers was generally, other than you all talking about it, the general thing I've always heard about Starship Troopers is, oh, bad movie. So it's always been like, oh, I'll watch it if I want to watch a bad movie, and this. So I never did not go in with high expectations. I did not expect to enjoy it so much, but what makes it to me so endearing is how committed to its own shtick it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that it's starting as a high school teenagers movie, that it's then this crazy boot camp thing, that it's insane, that this whole macho militaristic, we will shoot the things, we don't understand them. There is a level of commitment. The way it really shows up to me in the film too is actually in the way it handles gore, because it is so gory, but it is so unapologetically just like, it happens. Like, this guy's head came off. Like, it's not necessarily always putting the camera right up in it like other movies will do where they're shocking you with it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, and this guy's head came off violently on the side of the screen along with this other one. And it's so just like, they committed to how ridiculous their film was. The actors play their characters with a commitment to how ridiculous they are and how caricature they are sometimes, or how over the top they are. And it just works because it's a film that believes itself so much that you can't help but sit there and be like, this is kind of endearing. So okay, yeah. Also, I did not realize how many people I was going to recognize in that film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest. Like, just the number of times I was like, wait, that guy? That guy? That guy? That guy? Holy crap! There were a lot of people I mean, young Neil Patrick Harris out of all things, which though, we may know him a lot for his more flamboyant characters these days, but it's like, yeah, he actually is a pretty good dramatic actor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, people were thinking of him as Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then How I Met Your Mother, his character there, it's funny to me because in some ways what we know him for is a few isolated characters, but he will pop up in kind of the most unexpected places playing, and he will be playing, well, I mean, he even showed up in American Horror Story Freak Show.
He was in Doctor Who.
Yeah, he was in that. His American Horror Story Freak Show character was very disturbed. But, I mean, he's really good. Just a guy you just sort of pop in and you go, that's Neil Patrick Harris. But again, that's a whole aside. Starship Troopers is so committed to its bit that you can't help but find it endearing.
There is something I want to ask you about it, especially considering what we talked about earlier in the episode about sexuality, the use of nudity in films.
Gratuitous nudity.
Back in 2021, writer Raquel S. Benedict put out an article called "Everyone is Beautiful and No One is Horny." And it was a piece generally about how, particularly in American filmmaking, we have fetishized these beautiful, idealized bodies, both male and female, but at the same time, they've gotten desexualized. And Benedict starts off her piece by suggesting that Verhoeven actually was prescient to this movement in filmmaking. It's like, not that he is doing it himself, but that he is like exhibiting it as critique. Do you remember, Liz, the shower scene during those boot camp
I
sections?
watched it yesterday. Do I remember? I watched it yesterday. It's kind of hard to forget. And to your point,
Mm-hmm.
it's not played sexually. That shower
Mm-hmm.
scene. Oh, I was gonna say, if I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
if you were gonna say with that movie, we have to throw out a nude scene, which one would we do? I would sooner throw out the sex one,
Mm-hmm.
than I would the shower scene.
Because like the shower scene is fascinating. Go on, go on.
Because the shower scene is, it's very casual. The only thing that really throws me a lot of times with this is and this comes, from my specific experience, is, to me, the thing that people miss sometimes is there's a little bit of, well, look, everybody's naked. And it's like, yeah, but if they're showing everybody only from the waist up, then there's really only one part of that group that is exposed.
Yeah.
We all know that scene was a lot of tits. There was a lot of tits in that scene. And tits, you got some butts, but it's still, and to me, that's a little bit where it's the beginning, but it's still not played as sexually. It's where, though, it would be nice. It's getting nicer to see films be a little bit more like, if we're really going to act like this is not sexual, then we really need to not just have the only actual nudity in frame be female. Because in that it's still, it's making good strides at desexualizing it in that scene. There still is kind of an inherent lens, because it's a little bit like, okay, but if you, again, if you only show them from the waist up, that puts all the women at a disadvantage, because now truly the only people who are nude on screen, as far as the audience may know, are going to be the women, because the women's are all boobs out. Now, I did enjoy reading behind the scenes that the way they shot it, when he was like, okay, everybody, of course, closed set, only the necessary people were on scene to do it, and that in actuality, that, like, they basically, somebody had challenged back when he's like, okay, everybody, it's time to disrobe, and one of the actors had been like, well, what about, you kind of challenged him with, well, are you going to get naked too? And so he did. And so the whole everybody shot the scene in the nude.
That's amazing.
Which I find to be kind of a great little tidbit of how to create, and that also that was I think a smart move as a director in creating an environment that desexualized nudity, because here I don't even get to be on camera, but I'm going to get naked with you. And here's my co-person. We're going to get naked too. So we're all naked together. And it helps. Again, it still kind of sits in an area where I'd say I'd be curious to see an approach now to that, now that we're seeing more discussions about, okay, you can say everybody's naked, but if you only show them from this part up, then who's really being exposed, actually?
Well, the thing that I find fascinating as well about it, then I need to see the film myself still, but I know of the scene. And so, to quote from the article here, that I find fascinating about it is, a room full of beautiful bare bodies, and everyone is only horny for war. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
And
fascinating.
that helps it. That's what helps it, is that the scene is not discussing nudity sexually. They're not actually discussing the nudity at all. It is literally, and that's what makes the scene work. And I think what I take as perspective somewhat comes from also looking at it now, seeing how could we do this better? And that's a nuance that comes from discussions happening now. But yes, the scene has nothing, there is no, there's really no mention of sexuality in the dialogue.
Which is fascinating to me, because it's like the idea that is kind of like in my head with this is like, to what degree then, like, as we're talking about, like, this is a film where Verhoeven is indicting fascism. And so you have a scene where, like, it's a co-ed shower, but the thing that's kind of driving everything isn't, there's no sense of, like, sexual chemistry happening. It's something that is stripped away from these characters, not just in the sense of storytelling, but in the diegesis, in the cultural sense. And I guess the point I'm getting at is, to what degree should we take it that this scene is actually, in a way, a horror scene? That you have this setting of, these naked people, and the only thing they're really thinking about is, what are we going to do to go to war? What are we going to do to get the killing on?
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I'd say, the scene, it talks about war, but it's talking about war more in the framing of the main conversation point in that scene is one of the other recruits asking everybody why they joined up. And so it's everybody saying what their motivation for being there is. And that's where you get to the one character who says, well, I got accepted into Harvard, but my parents don't want to pay for it. So I'm here because I can basically get schooling paid for. Another saying, one of the women goes, I want to have babies. And she gets special grants if she goes through and she'd be able to have children afterwards. It would help support her through that. So it's an interesting that, the thought process there is focused on war, because the interesting thing to me is this scene in that regard is actually extremely humanizing for these individuals, because yes, there's a lens of they're all going to war, but every single person's motivation there is really not about, like, I think only one character is there to fight, kind of to fight for fighting's sake. And if I'm mistaken, it's still more out of a sense of duty and patriotism, if I'm remembering correctly exactly in that scene. Again, I saw it yesterday, but what stood out to me more was in that scene, you had all these young people basically talking about what their future dreams are. So if anything, it's sad, because there's a sadness to it, because it's the only way these kids can all achieve lifehood dreams is to join up.
Yeah.
But then none of them seems to be relishing in the killing. They see it as, this is how I gain access to what I do. And none of them actually seem sad about it either. They're excited, but it's because they're in a society that is so built around, this is how you gain access, that to them, they're excited because this is how I get to do what I want to do. But it's from an outside perspective, you go, that's kind of sad. Like, the only way you can picture having children, you can see yourself plausibly having children, is that you have to join up and basically risk your life to go do this thing, and that's how you'll gain these resources.
Well, not just risking their life, but like my understanding is also, like, are the bugs actually even really a threat before the state declares them to be such?
They throw an asteroid at Earth, and that's what prompts it. They say,
I think in the book they're not.
Yeah, the movie gives an element where there's an asteroid that's traced back to, they're in their quarantine zone, so it's kind of we keep away, but it's this imminent threat that we're preparing for, a little Cold War-esque almost. But then it's the asteroid that they say was traced to the arachnid zone, whatever. I find it so funny that they're interchangeably using insect, arachnid, and bugs. And I'm like, you're literally talking about different things there, y'all. Oh, well, we're not going into that. Count the legs. But that's what prompts the sudden flip to going to war, is the conclusion from whoever it be that this asteroid that destroys Buenos Aires is from bug space, basically, and that they're like, therefore we go to war because an asteroid was thrown at us from bug space.
Yeah.
So the movie gives them a more solid instigating event that prompts them to go from in a state of preparing for a seemingly inevitable war to actively going to war.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which may have been a choice more for Hollywood, for helping audiences digest it, but they certainly build up to it with an element of, you definitely get this idea that it's a society that is built around,
I mean, by the end of
still fueling the machine of war.
Yeah, like by the end of the film,
we're going to be the most prepared.
Neil Patrick Harris is literally walking around in his Hugo Boss vest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One, I mean, the fact that the film so casually is basically like, look, we captured this bug, and the film throughout it hints at speculation that there's intelligence behind these bugs. That there's some measure of intelligence in something going on, and that, there's a part of when I was watching it being like, interesting approach this film takes, that at the end they're celebrating that they've captured the brain bug and now they're going to experiment on it. And they're like showing it on like the public access TV being like, look, we're doing experiments on the bug. And then I'm like, oh, Geneva is crying.
Oh yeah.
It is very, I will say what is kind of was a hilarious flip for me yesterday was I watched that, and you want to talk about jarring, is to go from that to watching The Fifth Element. Exactly. You go from, yes, we are macho, everything that Starship Troopers is, to Mila Jovovich being like, how are you people worth saving? Everything you have, you destroy. That was a very jarring.
I need to see that still.
Wow.
You need to watch some of these, E. These are some iconic films.
Gonna have to do a twofer.
It's just sadly, I keep being reticent about finally doing it because I learned, like, Luc Besson is not a good person.
Fifth Element is
fair.
I mean, it's on streaming. It's one of those that it's worth watching for kind of understanding the zeitgeist around it. And actually, I will say, in watching it, Mila Jovovich is, frankly, people talk, I think, a lot about Bruce Willis, but honestly, watching her, there are times when they're close up on her face and her eyes, she's very expressive. Like, she's an excellent actress.
I mean,
I think that
I've always come away from
her very fantastic.
The cultural gestalt of that as being the Mila Jovovich movie. So
maybe it's just what I've seen of it.
I would
people
say
I've
so
talked.
For the 90s.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's the impression I've gotten from people now talking about it, where it seemed to, I don't know, it seemed like they were always gravitating sort of the Bruce Willis character, whereas I'm like, he's kind of like, his character could have been played by anybody.
Yeah.
So, but he is good at playing non-always action-y characters. Like, the guy is actually a good dramatic actor.
Moonlighting.
So, yeah.
I think we've talked a lot about a lot of things that relate to the questions we've kind of formulated. Are there any like last little bits that we can think of that we might want to bring up?
I did want to jump back on something E touched on earlier, which is, here goes the potato now on the bed behind me. I only know because I saw him jump up on the camera. Yes.
You can see his nose.
Welcome, potato.
Oh, he moved his nose. You can't see his nose anymore.
Yeah. There's only one other thing I wanted to touch on, and maybe this is a separate discussion to be had, of how science fiction films now differ from what we were seeing in the 80s and 90s. And I guess what I'm thinking of is kind of, have we lost something, or have we evolved accordingly, or is it a little bit of both? And maybe we just keep this as a surface question, because I think there is a lot to be garnered from the discussion, especially because one of the things we've touched on here, if not directly, is how many of these movies became their own franchises that are still producing movies. I mean, Predator, Alien...
Predator's having a resurgence.
Terminator... Yeah, all three of those have had other films. You've had Running Man get a remake. We've gotten these things, these stories are still in the culture. And then we've got also, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but like people right now, I've been seeing tons of praise for Project Hail Mary, another movie based off a book. Various other science fiction films, but science fiction now feels very different from the science fiction of the 80s and 90s. And I guess the question I have is, is all of that a good thing or a bad thing, or is it a little bit of both? Is there something that we've lost that we need back, or would be nice to have back?
I think that it's a loss overall.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is, if you look at the movies and you look at like what's been put out back then, the way that they work, the way that they function, the way they're structured, they're very much to a degree, they are very much a product of, say, the main actor or like a couple of actors in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
yeah,
back in the 80s, 90s, an Arnie movie, you knew it was an Arnie movie, especially in the 90s, right?
yeah.
Other movies, there was a certain degree of quality to them that made them really stand out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about Starship Troopers, we talk about Galaxy Quest,
I mean, even Jurassic Park.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, all these movies have a certain pizzazz to them, a certain je ne sais quoi, that really makes them stand out from other movies and from other things. Today, we don't really get that very much. Even with movies that I've enjoyed, like, for example, The Running Man, with Glenn Powell. I liked that movie, but there's not too many things I can tell you about it that were in it.
Yeah.
I can tell you about the Arnie buck because
that was
Arnold
a great little homage.
like I connect to it. I can tell you in the background, as it was going by in a chase, they had Bachman shoes as a nod to Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King, which was very cute.
Yes.
Glenn Powell is fun. I think this is the moment for him where he comes out as like an A-list actor, where he can take a lead role instead of being a side guy for as long as he has. And I think he does a decent job of that. He doesn't do too much. He doesn't do too little, but I kind of wish that he did more.
Mm-hmm.
The one lady who was there as one of the three, I remember her in Mean Girls.
Yeah, Katie O'Brien.
Yes, Katie O'Brien. She was in Mean Girls, and then I feel like I've seen her in a couple places. Yeah, she was. If I remember right, it might be her.
I think it's if you're thinking of the goth girl, it's a different girl, I think.
Oh.
So, but Katie O'Brien has done. She did that one with Kristen Stewart. She's had appearances elsewhere. She did the movie Queens of the Dead, I think it was called. It's the zombie movie that
oh yes,
George Romero's daughter produced.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard good things.
I have too.
But okay, so not her. So I felt like I've seen her, but apparently not.
She's popped up in places though. She's able to kind of morph depending on the role a little bit, but she has shown up in more things more recently in the last several years.
Okay. But I can't remember too much about that movie other than Glenn Powell's running and hiding, and he runs and hides, and he runs and hides. And he has a family that he has to take care of, which is why he's doing it. That and his anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember about it. But with the Arnie one, I remember lots and lots of things. You know, here was Sub-Zero, now Plane Zero. You know, the vacation thing that the three contestants who won got, and you find out later, no, they were roasted, toasted, and burnt to a crisp by Fireball.
Was that a Salute Your Shorts reference?
No.
Our hockey friend Sub-Zero.
You know,
I was not expecting to be murdered by hockey.
Yeah, you've got Jesse Ventura who pops up and goes, ah. and then he goes and fights Arnie, and they like make a fake thing where they have him fight Arnie,
and then he kills the stunt guy who's playing the Arnie.
Yeah, and then you have the big slide with Richard Dawkins.
Yeah,
I believe it was Richard Dawkins.
Yep, it is.
Playing as Killian. Like, there's so many things. I even remember the lady who goes, "I pick John Richardson. He's one mean motherfucker."
Yes, right? The little old lady who suddenly is being like the edgy one.
Yeah. And that changes like the bets. And that's the moment where everything changes for the team. But like, those things I remember easily because there's a certain magic to these movies that we're bringing up, these popcorn movies, which even then, I don't find popcorn as being derisive or negative in this. Yeah. I find it to be enjoyable and memorable, funny, actiony, silly, punny. Like, you could put it on like at a party and people will stop and watch it.
Well, and I
people
think
will like it will encase the party.
Well, you know what movie
into itself
fits well in that within the 80s sci-fi vein? The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Another Peter Weller joint. And it's like that, like there are some problematic elements with it, but like Peter Weller is so incredibly charming as this kind of like modern Renaissance man. And like you have this just absolute treasure trove of character actors. Like in his direct retinue, you've got Clancy Brown, you've got Jeff Goldblum. Okay, you've got Jeff Goldblum and Clancy Brown because I've forgotten the other guys.
I feel like you summarized it already. I mean, both of them also, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly, Jurassic Park, you name another. And Clancy Brown was Starship Troopers. I mean, he was one of the first people I went, wait, I've seen you.
You have, oh fuck, what is his name? Third Rock from the Sun guy, villain from Cliffhanger.
Either French Stewart or
John Lithgow. You got John Lithgow and Christopher Lloyd as two of the antagonists, and like, God, it's like it's one of those movies that I think kind of gets like an unfortunate association because it's one of those things that Ernest Cline mined for 80s nostalgia content in Ready Player One. So you lose all of the actual interesting things for just the really dumb, like, oscillation overthruster! That's the thing I remember from this movie is the MacGuffin! But like...
Well, in that regard, it works that I've never seen Ready Player One, so I can go watch it and not have any informing on it.
Yes, I
have no desire to see Ready Player One or read it.
I've not. No,
it will not work for you guys. I listened to the audiobook years ago. I liked it at the time, but as the years go by, it sours in my mind a little bit more and more and more as I realize kind of just how...
It sounded like incel bullshit.
It's very empty, and the second one gets more incel bullshit.
Well, and you know what I think we're hitting on, even outside of, like, incel bullshit, but in terms of, like, just general impressions, I think what we're hitting on right there, Dave, is going back to what you were saying, is that we have lost something in sci-fi that we've seen in the last couple decades. We have lost something. We've lost that, and you mentioned with popcorn, we don't mean it in a negative way, and I think it's because we very much mean it in the quintessential movie experience that I feel like the 80s was very much a part of the 80s, kind of movie theaters at running full throttle at that point. Because you also having, like, during the 80s and 90s, you were also getting golden eras of, like, Disney's golden era, in animation. You were getting all these sort of, like, surges in people going to the movies for an experience. Star Wars was in the 70s, and then you had Empire and Return of the Jedi. You had all of these just... the go to the movie theater, get a soda, get a popcorn, kick back, have a good time. And that's what we mean when we say these popcorn films, these popcorn flicks, these films. They're the films that you just, they stick with you, and you also just love to experience them.
That's like, the other thing I like about like even this era of 80s popcorn film, like uh again, Buckaroo Banzai, that is a movie that is completely silly. It is basically a modern pastiche of like the closest thing I'd compare it to is like, I mean, it's not Flash Gordon, but he's a Flash Gordon type. And I forget who the other like serial sci-fi character of the day. Like he had Flash Gordon, and there was another guy, but like, but the other thing is like, and it's so enmeshed in the realities of that day. Like it is a movie where like when there's national trouble, the president goes to Buckaroo Banzai to solve it. And in this
Mhm.
movie, like the central conflict is the fact that like their experiments in crossing into the eighth dimension for science ends up like waking up the evil alien overlord, basically alien Hitler. Like they literally compare him to being like the Lectroid's version of Hitler,
Wow.
and basically like kind of awakens him within John Lithgow, where he's kind of been hiding in his mind after his early experiments back in the 30s, trying to get into the eighth dimension. And
Mhm.
so like the conflict there is like the Lectoids send a delegation to Earth and with a warning like either you stop this guy or we're going to blow up Russia, make it look like you did it, and have you finally destroy yourselves in order to take out our own dictator we overthrew years ago and trapped in the eighth dimension. And there is just an amazing encapsulation of the decade's politics right then and there to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I guess you can see what
Yeah.
I keep flocking to when it comes to thinking about this era. It's
We noticed. We noticed. No, but I think
Yeah.
it is something. There's a sincerity we've lost, I think, in
exactly.
and there's it still shows up in modern in some science fiction. Um, for me, and maybe some of it's for me because I did come from to Running Man from the book. And so
Mhm.
for me, there was a little bit more of already kind of thematically knowing what the book was coming at. There
Hmm.
was, to me, something very touching, and hit very close to home in the films, particularly in the way they made changes to the film, but the changes that
Hmm.
they made were really meant to bring home themes of the book that, like when it was published back in like what the 70s, you know, that were saying, "Hey, you're seeing this now." When I read the book, the thing that first shocked me was how much I was like, "Holy shit, this is now." This is now.
Hmm.
And the changes the movie made, I think, were bringing more cultural relevance in terms of it's already here, but now we have what's going on now to help us frame this even more so, because I think it's meant to be a speculative, this is a direction we could be heading in. So,
Mhm.
but I think as far as popcorn films, there is still, it still doesn't necessarily have that charm.
Hmm.
There is a charm in, I keep saying it, commit to the bit.
Hmm.
And 80s and 90s films commit in a way where it's like even when they know they're a little ridiculous, like
They're not afraid to be
I'll
cringe.
well yeah, exactly. And perfect example to me, end of the first Terminator film,
Hmm.
when Arnie as the villain is fully disrobed into his machine form,
Hmm.
and the animation to that is kind of like, even if it was cutting edge in its day,
It's very
animation
Harryhausen.
in those areas, exactly, it's like I have no doubt that even for people watching it then, it's like even if this is cutting edge, it
Hmm.
still looks ridiculous because it's sort of obvious now that we're not in a practical,
Hmm.
like, that this had to be created. And yet it's just like, fuck it, we're doing it. We're doing it. Sarah Connor is backing away from it. She's trying to escape this thing that just in the animation you're going, this is sort of ridiculous, like bordering on like stop motion absurdity, but they're so committed
Let it
to
go,
it
Chime.
within the narrative that you're just like, it works. It works, and it's charming. And again, it sells it. It's why Starship Troopers works and is so endearing. It doesn't matter that it's utterly absurd and ridiculous, but there's something endearing to the commitment to the absurdity.
Speaking of absurdity, I just had a workout. Oh my god. I don't know if any of you heard that. My cat got up on the dresser on top of the PlayStation 2 and the PS5 and the medicine bottles, and
fun!
He almost knocked
Cats
a
are fun.
console that is increasing in price by the day to replace off of the dresser.
Cats, they will troll you whatever way they can.
Bootsy is chaos. I love him, but he's chaos.
I mean, that's cats.
Yes.
In a nutshell.
I had a reprieve for about a year
because
he was too afraid of Tuxie to come up here, but now he's like, nope, I'm back up here now. I'm back home, and I'm going to cause chaos again.
And for those out there with orange cats, you know even more so.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how chaotic orange cats are. They built different. Excuse you! I just got grunted at. Very sassily.
Was he an orange in his past life?
Probably closer to a husky. I don't know. He's dramatic. But he's not loud. He's quiet dramatic, so it's more like this is where his pit bull shows. Like pit bulls with their like drama. That's the potato. Okay, we're getting sidetracked by animals.
Yeah.
Which usually is a good sign that we're nearing the end of our discussion.
The animals are our timer.
I feel like we've really covered everything. And I've got a few pins for discussions for future, actually.
Good.
Dave, E, what are you all feeling?
I feel we did a decent job of covering this.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Seamus just keeps groaning behind me. It's just the funniest thing.
Personally, I feel people who are only fans of Pat Labor 2 are not Pat Labor fans. They are fans of the JSDF. I had to make that reference.
Fair enough. Well then, I think on that note, we can now ask the ever-important question, Voidwalkers. Dave, where can our lovely Voidwalkers find you?
Y'all can find me at twitch.tv/sheriff_Flynn. I should be getting things going now that the term is over. I'm hopeful that I'm able to. So we'll see about that. I don't know what I'm gonna play. I still got to figure that out. Because I got a lot of games to go over. And then of course YouTube, Sheriff Flynn. I will hopefully be able to upload some stuff there in the future. It's kind of my aim, but we'll see.
Your Yahoo Messenger.
Where can our... Huh?
I made a very bad joke because you said AIM. Oh. So I said Yahoo Messenger.
Okay. That just connected. Which, if for those of you from our time, you can hear the dial-up connection sound.
I can hear that door opening sound effect. Y'all can find me
where can
over at both Twitch and YouTube at Lanzalencia. LANZALENTZIA. You'll also see that video, folks, up here on the screen right now in our handy little viewer window before our ghosty friend closes it for the night. But so, live stuff, when I'm finally streaming again, I've been exhausted a lot lately, so I haven't had time to stream. But you'll find those happening live on Twitch, and you'll find VODs and other nonsense that I upload on my personal YouTube account. I also sometimes throw up successful and maybe not so successful marathon runs up on the YouTube that I just grab off the PlayStation recording device. Guys, marathon's so good.
All right.
I just scared myself because I was like, wait, did I remember to unmute myself earlier? And yes, I did. Liz, where can people find you before we go off the rails again, Blood Orgy?
What? Blood Orgy?
Blood Orgy?
Thank you. Okay, yes, yeah, no, okay. I thank you, Seamus. Thank you. This is the potato. If you want to catch more of him, folks, then you can catch me on Twitch as well. Lady Hyacinth 57. That's Lady Hyacinth 57. On Twitch and on YouTube. Again, there's not much up on YouTube right now. I have just been using it to kind of back up VODs. So I did finally finish my Silent Hill 2 run.
Congrats.
And I think, and then by the time this will be coming out later, but as of today, I did just finish a couple of days ago my annual birthday stream, which was super fun. A bit unhinged,
Hey, Liz.
You and a few others took full advantage of banning in-game actions, usually the action I most needed
I needed
it, and you would ban it. Yeah, no reloading, no cursing, no healing.
No shooting. That one was brought to you by our friend Firehair.
Yeah, and that was fun. That was right at the village at the beginning of Resident Evil 4 when the village horde goes after you and you have to survive. You either have to kill everybody or outlive the timer, and the knife breaks after like the fourth person you kill. So yeah, that was fun and unhinged. I think my next stream is
faces as you describe
He always does. I think the next I definitely will be taking full advantage of Leon Must Die Forever. My next stream.
Yay.
So of course by the time you all get this I already will have. I've already tested it out a little bit, but yay.
I need to start that up still.
I do play a lot of Resident Evil, folks, if it wasn't already obvious. Resident Evil, I need to do some more Evil Within runs now too. I think I'm gonna start digging in on some of those too. And of course I do play other horror games. I play lots of horror. Yes, I will go hiking eventually.
Oh, I was gonna say we need to help get your old games mechanism going again so you can get back to the country.
Yes, I was gonna say that's the other one, Donkey Kong Country. Okay, thank you, Potato. And yes, folks, if you want to catch more of Potato, because I know he's the true star of the show, then you can come see and redeem Potato Party Time on my Twitch channel. Because Potato Party Time.
Oh, are those drawing breaks sticking around, by the way? Because those are fun.
Drawing breaks? Yeah, I'm going to keep the doodle breaks on there. That was super fun.
You drew a 5-minute Tanuki with a rock.
A 5-minute fat Tanuki with a rock.
Well, Fluffy season
new redeemable, Dave. It's kind of fun.
So that's still in season.
All right, but before we get too distracted on all of that, folks,
we're signing out.
Well, actually, not folks. Ian, Dave, though, one of you or both of you, where can our Voidwalkers find us, the Confabulators?
Well, you can find us if you're watching this here on YouTube. You're right here at the Confabulation station. If you want to see us stream things live, those times we're streaming, you can find us also at the Confabulation station. And hey, if you want to send us an email or two, you got questions, you got comments, you got requests, I guess, you can email us at theconfabulators@gmail.com. The handy URL in this video version, if you can see. And if you're watching the video version and want to go like, I can't sit down and watch 4 hours of video at a time, but hey, I've got to commute to work, I'd like to listen to these folks, you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. Rate and review us, folks. And tell your friends. Definitely tell your friends. Tell your friends.
And follow us on Blue Sky as well, folks. The Confabulators on Blue Sky.
Yep.
So we post new episodes up there. We'll post when we're going on live stream and occasionally just post other silly things.
That's right.
Lots of ways to talk to us, folks. Please do. We love it. We don't bite hard much.
That's right. Anyway, I'm Dave.
I'm Liz.
I'm me.
And if you're wondering what a confabulator is, Dave.
Ask Arnie.
Arnie.
I don't know.
Help us out here. I don't know, I feel like he would give a really good answer to that, actually. And until next episode, folks, thank you all for being here, you lovely Voidwalkers. Keep enjoying the void. Might need a flashlight. Might not. Depends on how daring you are. Or just how unhinged you like to be. Be unhinged. I support it. Until next time.
And be careful about what holes you jump into. Later.
Bye. Or don't. Live dangerously.
I thought jumping in holes would be living dangerously.
I mean, depends on what's in the hole. I mean, other than we know James is going to jump in the hole. But
guys,
James...
my hand is vibrating. Let's wrap up.
I'm waiting for it to fade out. I figured we're fading out now. Folks, we haven't faded out yet. Welcome to Every Time We Record.
Okay, folks. Till next time. Later.
Dave, your hand is doing like the Muppet wave, I feel like, at this point.
Wiggle, 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 tonicky, wiggle, 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 wiggle till the fade out, wiggle till the fade out, wiggle till the fade out, fade out.
The Confabulators is hosted by Liz Strauss and Dave Bockenkamp. Editor is E.W. Klein. Theme music, Oh Heavens, is by Cassidy B., composer and artist. Found at cbrva.cardd.co.